agenda. I do want to make sure that we do set aside. Senator Kavanagh, are you available to answer 3 questions?
Sure.
Sure. So I'll take first question from any community board member. Does anyone have a question?
Yes, Lenny, this is Carlton.
Yes, Carlton.
Just with any more information on the moratorium on evictions and getting monies to people who will be needing it to pay their rent.
Yeah, again, so that program, the rental assistance program is fully up and running. People can apply. If you've experienced a hardship and have been unable to pay your rent as a tenant, you should be able to apply. Landlords can also initiate that process, and whether the landlord or the tenant initiates it, it is supposed to be such that either party can track the status of that application. And like I said, we do expect that rent will be going out the door very soon. They started accepting applications on June 1st. The moratorium, which again is a moratorium on residential and commercial evictions as well as foreclosures, is in place through August 31st.
Thanks.
Yep.
Mr. Scalo?
Well, Senator Kavanagh, regarding the BQE, I was just wondering if you had any conversation regarding the rehabilitation issue of the BQE, other than the truck traffic requirements.
Yeah, I mean, we have had conversations. I've had sort of ongoing conversations with the mayoral administration. I think they have made it clear that sort of bigger decisions about the long term are likely to be decisions of the next mayoral administration. They are, on an ongoing basis, maintaining and shoring up the property as the expert panel said they should. But I think this bigger question of how to transform the roadway into something new and different that meets the many needs that people have raised. And again, along the entire corridor of the BQE, there was that period where we were just focusing on the 1.5 mile stretch. But I think people understand that north and south of there are a lot of community needs and going to be a lot of need for replacing the roadway. But this administration is not at this point, as far as I can tell, taking it on. We also do have a proposal that Joanne Simon and I have worked on that would create an authority, basically a large scale entity that would be able to manage a project like that, to give it some real focus, and that would involve state and federal as well as city participation. We did not pass that. We had proposed it this actually last year. It was not something we did spend a fair amount of time this year, especially in the budget process, dealing with the more immediate crisis needs of COVID. But I think that is an important initiative, and I think that will help give the project some focus going forward. But again, we haven't enacted that bill yet.
Thank you.
Mr. Flanoy?
In regards to the voucher program, there are a lot of individuals who are homeless, who are not in shelters and not in hotels. Is there any outreach to those individuals who are living on the street?
Yeah, I think it is. It's one of our great failings that we haven't addressed homelessness adequately now in a number of years. And there are ongoing outreach programs that the city runs, and there are some resources available. But I would say that our response to that has been inadequate. So I mentioned 2 things, like increasing the availability, the value of these vouchers that people use to get out of shelter and to avoid homelessness. We did that at the state level. You may have seen that the city council, there's a comparable city program. The city council has also increased the value of those vouchers for the purpose of that city program. I also have a bill called Housing Access Vouchers, which is intended to be a much larger scale state-funded voucher program, similar to a federal program called Section 8, that would provide long-term affordable housing subsidies for people. I will say I come at this problem more from the perspective of the permanent housing end of it, because I chair the housing committee, and that's kind of my role. But obviously there are social services needs as well. And I think that it is a failure on our part. We were not able to get that housing access voucher program. The Senate put it in our one house budget resolution that we proposed. We ended up doing more modest program. It is $100 million statewide program. And I mentioned that that hotel conversion program is also intended to provide permanent housing, but we need to produce permanent housing at a much higher volume, and we need to provide more subsidy. And I am hoping that, you know, the new administration, whichever mayoral candidate prevails, will make it a priority. It really is a scourge. We've got 90,000 homeless people in the state at any given moment, and it's really unacceptable.
As always, thank you, Senator Kavanagh. You're always welcome to join our meetings. Should you have the time and you want to sit through the rest of this meeting, you're welcome. If not, thank you and have a good evening.
I'll stay for a bit, but thank you all. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Moving on to the other representatives. Do we have a representative for Assemblywoman Joanne Simon?
Hello, everybody. It's Elavia from Assemblymember Joanne Simon's office. Thank you so much for having me today. My update's going to be really brief because Senator Kavanagh did a fantastic job of updating everybody on the work that he and Joanne Simon have been doing on gun violence and on the BQE. They were very busy the last 2 weeks getting those bills passed. So amazing work by the two of them. So in addition to gun violence and the BQE, we're also working on legislation to reduce class sizes across all grade levels with Senator Jackson. And we passed a wage theft reduction bill last week as well. So it's been a really busy 2 weeks for them, and a lot of different bills were passed these 2 weeks.
Great, thank you for the update.
Great.
Do we have any representatives for Councilmember Stephen Levin? Okay, great. Do we have a representative for Majority Leader Laurie Cumbo?
Good afternoon. This is Lucian Allen, Majority Leader Cumbo's office, excuse me. I don't have any updates to share, but just offer greetings from the Majority Leader. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lucian. Representing Borough President Eric Adams and NBlackshear.
Hello, Community Board 2, and thank you, Chair Singletary. I would like to first congratulate the new Community Board members, your youth member, Madison Chang, and also new board member, Monique Cumberbatch and Sabrina Rezi. Congratulations. It is our hope. I just want to echo what the chair said, that being on Community Board 2 requires a lot of work. And I certainly hope that you will roll up your sleeves and get busy on whatever committee that you, or committees you choose to be on. I also would like to announce that there is an upcoming hearing that the Borough President will be hosting. It is the ULURP hearing on the Gowanus rezoning. It is taking place June 30th. And there will be 3 locations in which the public can go to give testimony, as well as doing it virtually. The first location will be the Gowanus rec room and adjacent playground. That will be available up until 9 p.m. The hearing is due to begin at approximately, I think, 3:30. And no, I'm sorry, 4 o'clock. It will begin at 4 o'clock for the public. And you can go to Gowanus up until 9 p.m. You can go to the Wyckoff Community Center up until around 6 p.m. Wyckoff is located at 280 Wyckoff Street, and the Gowanus Houses Rec Room is located at 420 Baltic Street. And then, of course, the third location is actually Brooklyn Borough Hall, which is at 209 Girolamo. So I had taken the liberty of emailing the public notice to Community Board 2's office around 3 o'clock today. So I'm sure Taya Looks like she's probably added it to the calendar and with the flyer. So please check that out, and we hope that you will come to our hearing. Also, I would like to let you know that there is another ULURP hearing that will be taking place over the summer on June 7th, and that is the Brooklyn Navy Yard ULURP hearing, which I believe Board 2 just had a hearing on last week. So, and I guess you're voting on it tonight. So just to let you know, that's taking place June 7th. I don't have any details in regards to how that will be set up, but we will keep the board office notified so that board members will also know. And of course, notify the public. Boy, what a time for my phone to go. Okay, and then I just want to let you guys know, you've heard me announce in the past about how the borough president had advocated for the community to have a say in regards to who their commanding officers should be in their various precincts and posts. That was implemented in January, and I am happy to say that the committees have been formed for various precincts, housing, I'm not sure about transit division, for the public, meaning community leaders, to have a say in regards to who their commanding officer should be. And I'm very happy to see and very happy to hear from the public that they're very, very pleased with their new commanding officers that they helped to select. That's basically it. Oh, the borough president did have a groundbreaking ceremony at SUNY Downstate. Where he's awarding a $10,000 discretionary grant from his office to them to help fund the New Food as Medicine initiative. It is a supplemental program to existing nutrition curriculum in the school. The initiative will offer online courses to students free of charge, and the enrollment for this will begin this month. This concludes my announcements. My last thought is that everybody have a wonderful, next to last thought. National Night Out Against Crime is taking place this year, definitely in open spaces on August 3rd. So just check out your local precincts, whether it be the 88th or the 84th or PSA 3 in regards to the events that will be taking place and where. In a few months, that will be updated on our website in regard to the various locations. And also that will be updated on our YouTube page is the swearing in and workshop event that took place yesterday for new board members and established board members who wanted to brush up on their skills. So if you want to take a look and review your notes as well as the video, you can go to our YouTube channel, One Brooklyn. It should be up in the next few days. And I just want to wish everyone a wonderful, fun, but safe summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate you. Are there any other dignitaries or elected officials that I've missed? I know we have community partners who we will acknowledge at the later portion of the agenda, but is there anyone else that I've missed and maybe didn't put their name in the chat?
Good evening, Chair Edward from the Mayor's Office.
Hi, Edward. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Hello, everyone. Edward Cerna, Brooklyn Borough Director for the Mayor's Office. Have a few short updates. So on the vaccination front, we are almost close to 9 million doses that have been administered to New Yorkers. A couple of weeks ago, we had Youth Vaccination Week, in which we administered over 34,000 doses to New Yorkers between the ages of 12 to 17 across the 5 boroughs. So we're really pumping that forward, trying to bring the vaccine where it's most needed and hitting all the New Yorkers that are available to receive it. The mayor announced that community-based organizations that want to join in that effort and that would also like some funding to do that work, they can go to nyc.gov/vaccine referral bonus to participate in a program in which they will get funding to do some of that work. Generally speaking, for folks who still haven't received it, you can go to nyc.gov/vaccine finder. Also want to flag that we are well underway or well through the first week of early voting, or the first week of early voting. It's going to run through June 20th, culminating on June 22nd, which is primary election day. So, you know, this year it's going to be the first time we use the ranked choice voting system in which you can rank up to 5 candidates. So it's really important to make your voice be heard. And now with the ranked choice voting system, you can make your vote and voice go further. So definitely take advantage of the early voting period. The mayor also announced that there is going to be a take parade that's celebrating what we're calling hometown heroes, which are the essential workers that really, you know, brought us through this pandemic in the last couple of months. So part of that parade is going to include floats that are representative of essential workers in advocacy organizations, city workers, educators, emergency food providers, faith leaders, first responders, healthcare, and a couple of more folks that again really stepped up and held the weight of the city as we went through a really tough and unprecedented time. Lastly, the mayor also announced the City Artist Corps. It's a program in which $25 million will go toward supporting artists who live and work in New York City, while at the same time allowing them to provide cultural programming to New Yorkers. The program will distribute one-time $5,000 grants to more than 3,000 artists, again, to help them sustain their practice and engage the public across the New York City's 5 boroughs. So if there's an artist, again, this is like across many disciplines, you can go to nyc.gov/City Artist Corps and apply today. So I'll leave it at that. Everyone, wishing you a healthy and safe summer. You can always reach out to me at ecerna at cityhall.nyc.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Appreciate you participating and providing those updates. Again, is there any other elected official or representative that I may have missed or who didn't have a chance to indicate their presence through the chat? Okay, great. Once again, thank you everyone for your updates. And then thank you for that coordinated effort in identifying and announcing our new community board members. I appreciate you for that. All right, moving on to the next item in the agenda, item number 7. So let me just say, we have an extensive agenda this evening. I want us to continue to have the same robust and engaged conversations. What I do want to mention at the outset, we will not rehash and turn the discussion into another committee meeting. The meeting already took place. I asked that everyone had a chance to either review the minutes or review the recordings. In like manner, we will not turn the next portions of our meeting into another public hearing. We already had one of those. So I ask that people ask questions. Let's not be repetitive, be brief. Let's have a healthy discussion, move the items along. And if we cannot do that on our own responsibility, I'm happy to jump in and move us along. And so if I offend anyone by moving us along, I apologize in advance. We can talk about it later once we all go home. So with that, I turn it over to land use. The chair is Mr. Carlton Gorman.
Thank you very much, Lenny. We do have a lot. First, I just wanted to, for our records, to state that the Landmark Land Use Committee put in 2 4-hour sessions on these matters. We had 8 hours of work on these matters. And I wanted to especially thank Karen Johnson and Daughtry Christoffen, who took the minutes for these meetings. Karen Johnson is no longer our regular secretary. We are trying to see if we can establish a rotation system. Karen Johnson said she'd be interested in that, but so far no one else has indicated interest on that.
All right, Carlton, I'm gonna move you along. Let's get to the items.
Right, yes. Just wanted to also let you know that I have, okay. We have a lot of the first three we have coming up are ULURPs. So that's going to take a bit of time out of what we have to do. Okay, the first one is 130 St. Felix. And this is a application by the Brooklyn Music School with the cooperation of the Gotham Development. And this was a application for a 23-story high-rise along St. Felix Street. It is a 30% of it was going to be set aside for mandatory housing, mandatory inclusionary housing. Basically, it was a proposal by the Brooklyn Music School to seek to have more space and more income for their work, and they entered into the application for the hearing. Well, you were hearing so that they can expand the size of their property. Property would expand, as I said, up to over 140,000 square feet. The FARs would expand from 6 to 10. Basically, we had a long discussion on this. There was one proposal by which the mandatory housing, inclusionary housing would go from 30 to 36%. That was turned down in the committee. As a result, the application was disapproved at 9-3. So at this time, we are recommending against the expansion at that site and the application for 130 St. Felix Street.
So
Carlton,
Carlton,
it was,
I'm sorry, Haswell, I'm sorry to interrupt 1 second. Carlton, can we go through each of the reports and then we'll come back to, act on them, or
You want to do the ULIPs and then the others, or how you want to have it?
Yeah, I'd like to, unless there's a strong objection from board members, I'd like to go through the ULIPs first. You can just read through all of them, and then we'll address each of the ULIPs first, and then we'll come back to the non-ULIP items, unless there's a strong objection from anyone.
Let's give me a little bit of a pause because I took these chronologically. My notes are in chronological order, so I have to.
Okay, so wait. Okay,
I got it.
Carlton, hold on. If it's easy for you to do them one at a time.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. Item 2 is we did a public hearing on the Brooklyn Navy Yard. This is the Brooklyn Navy Yard rezoning ULIP, and this one was presented by the Brooklyn Navy Yard. They're looking for space to do manufacturing and more work to be done. Basically, Brooklyn Navy Yard is pretty much standing room only as far as the work that has to be done in there, the work they wish to do. What they're asking for is a special district that would include, they'd be able to do more building, to have more manufacturing, more commercial, and more work. We had a lot of support on this one, and the vote was 10-0 in favor of the Brooklyn Navy Yard's application. The next ULIP is the Gowanus neighborhood plan. This was an 80 block, it's an 80 block plan, but 76 of the blocks are in Community Board 6. The 4 remaining blocks which affect Community Board 2 are along Upper 4th Avenue at Dean, Bergen, Warren, and Wyckoff Streets. Department of City Planning proposes that these particular blocks be rezoned to basically accommodate high-rise, larger buildings with affordable housing components as well, and that would assist in getting, I guess, more housing done. There's a lot of concern, especially because these are occupied blocks. There are already businesses and small homes along 4th Avenue at Dean, Bergen, Warren, and Wyckoff. There was the first motion was to approve, which was turned down 4 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention. Then we moved to disapprove. The motion to disapprove was granted, was approved 7-3. So at this time, we are recommending a disapproval of Gowanus. We are recommending an approval of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and we're recommending a disapproval of 130 St. Felix Street.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carlton.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do is start with the first ULUP item, which is 130 St. Felix, the rezoning application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a little bit different because I do have this leeway in Robert's rules, and if I'm incorrect, Mr. Quint, who's our parliamentarian, will correct me. We're going to have a discussion on this now. Once we conclude the discussion, we'll call the vote. Typically, what we do is we call the vote and then have a discussion. But given that Mr. Gordon has given his report, we'll discuss this now. I should also note that these items are roll call votes, so we'll go through a roll call process as well. All right. I believe Hazra had a question and I interrupted her. So Ms. Ali, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, the votes that Carlton called for 2 of the items is different from what is on the agenda. So I'm not sure. The vote you called for Gowanus disapproval and St. Felix is different from what's on the agenda.
If I may,
please.
Since I was taking notes for the Gowanus, I was just about to put that in the chat. Carlton, the vote for disapproval was 5-4-0.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I can't speak to St. Felix.
Okay.
That's for Gowanus?
That's for Gowanus.
Okay.
The motion to disapprove was 5 in favor, 4 opposed, and 0 abstentions, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
The results were the same.
Any other questions or comments on well, let me ask this question. Are there any questions or comments in the discussion on 130 St. Felix?
This is John Doe. I just have an overall comment, but it applies to 130 St. Felix. If we were in a country next to Afghanistan and it was invaded, we would call it an invasion. What we did downtown Brooklyn in 2004 was the same result, but we called it eminent domain. And we took a whole group of largely African-American folk and removed them from downtown Brooklyn. They have been replaced with development. It was called upzoning. And as a result of that, we have an entirely different community today. But when we did that upzoning, we were told that there would be no need to increase the size of any of these buildings. We would not be getting any ULURPs. All of a sudden, we're getting a flood of ULURPs. We also have a flood of homeless folk, and the two don't seem to coincide with each other at all. So, and I said this at the committee, something is wrong if we are getting ULURPs that bring in folk from outside the community, and we have not taken care of the folk within the community yet. There was some earlier discussion about homeless folk. That's a major problem. It's never on our agenda. So I won't read off all of the bullet points that I put together because there are 12 of them that I limited it to. I'll just stop right there. That's why the community board land use committee voted as such. Thank you.
So let me just say this before I call other people. John, I really appreciate you condensing your comments and picking one topic that's succinct, and I ask everybody else to keep kind of follow that lead. Hazra?
Yes, I am a member of the Land Use Committee, and Mr. Carlton made his presentation, but I don't think he gave the rest of this committee that is going to vote any background on what caused the board to disapprove. I was one of the persons disapproving. This building is going to be, he called out the FAR, but he didn't say that it was going to be a 23-story building right adjacent to the Hanson Place Tower. and the building is going to end at the shoulder of the Hanson Place. And they will be blocking off a whole line of windows along the Hanson Place building that is definitely going to kill the architecture and the beauty. The only thing that I could think about that is similar is to when that Pan Am building, well, I don't know what it's called, MetLife building was built in front of the metro, what is it, the train station in 42nd Street in Manhattan. There you drive through the tunnel and you see a big modern building blocking the whole Grand Central Station, beautiful architecture. This is what is going to happen to the Hanson Place. And in addition to the visual, we have the worry of the train station, the subway tracks, and the worry of these smaller homes, 3 and 4 stories, brownstone, where the community is very, very much in arms over it. So I think the board needed to hear why the land use committee disapproved of this application.
Thank you. Ms. Thurston?
Thanks, Lenny, and thank you, Hazard. That was part of my question, was what to explain the disapproval. I'm just curious. I'm very inclined to support the committee because we know the work happens in the committee, and I appreciate all the time people put in on this. I have to say, we still need more affordable housing, and I know we all believe that. And I'd appreciate a very brief summary of what the committee discussed about the affordable housing component of this. Carlton, you said something about a 36% offering rather than 30%. I'm curious, maybe Daughtry, if you're able to quickly explain what happened or what the discussion was around the affordable housing piece.
Well, yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you. That was actually my counter motion that I proposed to the developer to increase the amount of affordable housing that's included in the package and to reduce the FAR. And it's difficult at these committee meetings when they're so packed, it's nobody's fault, it's everybody's fault, that we don't have enough time to actually have a real quality conversation with the developer. He basically said in the chat, I remember saying that I was asking him to go down to 9 FAR, and he said, we can't financially do that, but we're always willing to talk. So my motion I voted to support my motion. So just to go back to the mandatory inclusionary, it's a mandatory floor of 30% in terms of the option that they're offering. Our concern, mine included, about that is that it's 70, 80, 90, and 100% of AMI. And as we know, that is not truly affordable to people who need the housing the most. So I sensed that there was some opening for discussion there, but the timing was wrong and we didn't have a chance to really dig into that. So
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
And generally, it is a big building. As you said, it's a 23-story building on a block that's usually it's a small rise. I think that was one of the reasons that it engendered so much opposition. There was a good bit of support, I will say, because of the people did come to say we need more affordable housing in this area and that it would help. But most of the opposition came from because the largeness of the situation. I think if it was a smaller building that was being proposed, perhaps I would just say, off nothing official, just perhaps it might have gone through. But the largeness of it really made it an unpopular proposition.
Thanks, Carlton. I got it. Mr. Augustus.
Yeah.
Can you hear me first?
You sound muffled.
Okay, I'll try and speak up. Why I oppose this application is essentially two reasons. One, neither the applicant, Brooklyn Music School, nor Gotham developers, nor the supporters of the school, at a minimum, did not acknowledge the existence of the BAM Historical District. That's the context. Nor did they acknowledge the Fort Greene, Clifton Hill contextual zoning. That's the context. They acted as and proceeded as if it did not exist in reality. There were two parts of this application. One was a landmark preservation application, and the other was a EULA. When it went to landmarks, the landmarks commissioners were strong in their reaction in opposition to the application as a landmark application. The commissioners acknowledged, and I'm glad they did, that this project existed in the Banff Historical District, and it existed in the Fort Greene contextual zoning. And their reaction was that, one, upon looking at it, they looked at the mass. The building was too tall for a street that is 50 feet wide. That's a very narrow street. They acknowledged that. That's something that the developer Gotham failed to acknowledge at a minimum. That's something that the Brooklyn Music School, as an applicant, failed to acknowledge as a minimum. The Landmark Preservation Commissioners, in attempting to work with the developer, held a second hearing for them. And they asked them to go back and to come back to them with a proposal that would actually fit or work with the contextual zoning. The developer failed to do it. There were certain arrogancies where they took off one floor. That's not building a consensus. That's not being accommodating. Basically, their position is that you're going to just have to capitulate because this is what we want and need. And I don't want to rehash all the commissioner's testimony, but it was a guide to us in terms of the ULIP. And I'd say that it was a guide for the ULIP application, is that the former Landmark Preservation Commissioner, Saravassian, had always warned developers that a landmark approval of an application does not presuppose a approval of a ULIP application. But when they came back for this expanded public hearing, their expectation was that, well, then the ULIP is going to be approved. But the same conditions existed. They would make no concession in terms of the scale and the bulk and the height. It's like, they fail to sort of accommodate. It doesn't work. The mass, and no matter how they try to rationalize it and their schematics, it doesn't work. I said to my wife, I would like for my neighbors on St. Felix to have what we have, which is light and air. No one.
All right, Ernie, let's wrap it up.
All right, but that's my comments in terms of my opposition to this application.
Are there any, Ms. Peterson?
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. I just want to make a quick comment, and it's almost like a broken record sort of coming from me, but when I think of development, I always think about the possibilities of several things. One, affordable housing as it should be defined to be affordable, but also I think about employment. Now, so serving as the co-chair of the Economic Development and Employment Committee, I'm always going to speak about that. And I'm not sure that I have heard much about that as it relates to this project or any other project. And in order for people to have some other opportunities, they have to be employed. If there is no way to be employed based on these projects and in the beginning of the project, the midway of the project, and the end of the project, which you have a tall building that needs maintenance workers. We don't have maintenance workers. We don't get that. There's always these great promises to do a lot of things for the community. Those who would otherwise not have the opportunity. I always, when I'm listening to these conversations, I always go back to that. And I think with this development and all of the development that goes on in Community Board 2, there has to be a greater conversation and a greater commitment from developers to sort of, be that person to give people opportunities, you know, small minority businesses, and you know, and it just doesn't seem like it's happening. There's no oversight, and so they just sort of get away with people seeing these buildings go up, and there's never an opportunity from the beginning, the middle, or the end. And I think that needs to begin to be a greater conversation. I know land use is a land use committee. My committee is a committee, but I just wanted to say that because I always think about that. I always think about people who walk past these sites and want to know why, you know, why? Not just someone holding a stop sign. That's great, you know, that they were given an opportunity to make some money, but it has to be a greater conversation about how we letting these developers sort of run away with not, you know, being supportive, you know, as it relates to our communities where there's the Black and brown people seem to just continuously not, you know, always left behind. The project goes up, the next one goes up, it's the same thing. So I like to see a greater conversation, collaboration with that. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other board members who have not already spoken? I see some other hands. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To piggyback on what has already been said, Mr. Chair, the issue that we have before us with this project is not just the inclusiveness in Black and brown communities that Denise raised. It's not just the issue of whether or not it's contextually zoned with the brownstones across the street, as Ernest has said. It's whether or not the developer is taking into account the milieu that is unique but pervasive throughout Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, and any development that we have that doesn't take into account working with the community on all its levels for all its peoples is really a non-starter. And if people think I'm being kind of a drama queen about this, I'm currently, because of the condition of COVID and the rollback by the mayor into bringing people back to office, I'm currently at 505 Claremont 3 days a week. And I don't want to be overly critical, but I think we made an error with approving that building because that tower is massive. And for all the things that my colleagues have said, it fails. So I would just suggest that we strongly oppose this. I thank you so much.
Any other board members who have yet to speak to ask questions?
I'd like to say something, Ms. Esther Blunt.
Ahead,
I'm so
Esther.
sick of everybody using this word affordable. I mean, we got buildings going up left and right. If you walk around Community Board 2, you see them. And I believe, and I would like to get a report of how many units are empty, because I understand there's quite a few. Now, come out and say this building is for upper middle class people, because it's definitely not for affordable people. All these developers keep coming to us saying that word affordable, and it's a lie. There are 200,000 cases ready for eviction when the courts open. Now, I know all those 200,000 cases not going to be in Community Board 2, but those are the type of people who need housing. How many of them could pay 70% of their income towards rent? We don't need these houses. There's buildings going up, the one on Atlantic and Vanderbilt. I mean, it's not like there's no middle class buildings going up in this community, but what we need is 100% affordable buildings. And I notice when these projects have them and they say they're going to build something that's 100% affordable, they build them last. And I think some of them is going back out of that. So, I mean, we've been sold a bill of goods. So no, no, no.
Any other comments, Maisha?
I just want to make a comment, Lenny, quickly. I think everybody's talking about, zoning isn't planning, and we get these individual, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I called Maisha, but go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
Go
you
ahead.
already started. No, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go,
I'm so
go.
sorry.
Go.
I'm having trouble with my bandwidth right now, so I'm missing some stuff. But Dumbo, we were designated in 2007, and the amount of zoning, it was like piecemeal development, is still wonderful, but so much is destroyed. But it displaced the diversity, it displaced the job diversity, the economic diversity, and zoning is not planning. And I think that I'm very proud of this board for realizing, and a lot of this board voted for all this upzoning in my neighborhood, by the way. So without planning the infrastructure, everybody's going to complain about there's no two ways of getting in and out of the subway and this and that, and but it's everywhere in our district. So I'm glad that people are outraged, because Dumbo is really unaffordable. And about the, what you said about once the eviction is off, during COVID, I had so many, the affordable housing or our loft law tenants, and I worked on the Dumbo Neighborhood Alliance worked on it simultaneously with designation, save the building, save the community. And by the time the loft law was passed, we have maybe 7 buildings. There's loft law protected tenants in our historic district, but they all were harassed during COVID. They weren't fighting the evictions. Their landlords were going after each person for their lease agreements, and they were harassed in a different way. Councilmember Levin really stepped up during that time, but people were very stressed out. So, thank you, board, for stepping up.
Maisha, and then after Maisha, 2 more comments, and I have a question. Maisha?
Yeah, I just have a question. Good evening, everyone. As I look at the chat and I see Gotham's response, they are not asking, they're not request in the zoning changes they're not requesting for more height. Is that correct? And that was approved over the summer of 2020 by the executive committee. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that what they wrote here is correct.
So let me just answer that, and then I'll answer the public hearing, and then we'll come back to Carlton and Company. In 2020, we had the first public hearing after we went on break because of the pandemic.
Right.
At that time, there was a land use item before us, and we did vote in support of the request for the height. These other topics have not been brought back before the exec committee. They went to the actual land use committee. And so there's a little bit of a disconnect with that. I'd also mention that during that public hearing, I'll take the responsibility myself, made the focus of not wanting to hear from people who were in favor of the project, really wanted to hear those who were opposed to the project. And so there were some people who had some backlash and had were a little bit upset, but I felt it was important to hear about those who were against the project. You constantly hear people who are for it. We wanted to hear those who are against it. So that's what took place at that public hearing, and I believe it was June, almost a year ago to date, in 2020. And now we're moving forward to the discussion now. Mr. Gordon, you may want to answer, you or George, the second part of Maisha's question.
About the height. Well, I don't recall if they made any specifics on the height until we really got into the hearings, although they did state that this was going to be in conversations or information that they were going to make a larger building. I know that they did take suggestions from people, board members, not board members, community people, as to the way it would be, the way the masses of the building would be set. But it was going to be a larger building. At first, they weren't that specific as to going to the 23-story, which they then put in the application for the hearing that we had. But they did state it was going to be a larger building. And that's because of the largeness, that's when we could start, the opposition started coming in.
All right, so we're gonna have Kate with the last question, and then I'm gonna ask a question, and we're gonna move forward with the vote.
I'm still waiting to make a statement, please.
I thought you already spoke once. I'm looking for people who haven't spoken already.
I know, take them and then I'll at the end.
Yeah, I'll hold on that, Audra. I got a lot of people, so let me make sure I get everybody who hasn't spoken first. I already thought we gave you a moment, so hold that thought. Go ahead, Kate.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. Look, I agree with so many of the really great points and issues raised here. But sort of piggybacking on Maisha's comment, I want to better understand what the developer can do as of right, because I guess what I sometimes worry about, and maybe someone on the land use committee can speak more to this, but that, okay, we disapprove this plan and this ULURP, so then they still build a complete market rate tower without any community benefit whatsoever. And like, unfortunately, those are maybe two bad choices. Like the third choice, which we all want, which is 100% affordable housing, it isn't actually a choice in this case because it is going to get approved. Frankly, it's probably going to get approved even if we disapprove it, unfortunately. That's how it seems to go. But I want us to be able to make an impact on, like I like Daughtry's idea of requesting something that is better for the community and at least voicing that in what we vote on and saying, here's what we actually want, not just, we don't want this. And guess what? Then we're gonna get maybe a 23-story tower, maybe with a few less apartments, and they're all market rate. So that's what I just want to better understand is like, is there a way for us to make a bigger impact, or is there an option is there a better option that we can actually put our voice behind that's realistic?
Well, at this time, I'll try to answer it. At this time, the decision was made by the committee as a result of the hearing that that the whole application was not acceptable. We did, Daughtry Christophin did try to see if we could do some movement on the mandatory inclusionary part. That did not pass in committee. So the whole application was rejected ultimately by the committee. So if there was a way to try to work around it, it could have been done maybe at an earlier time, but by the time it got to the applicant, for the hearing and the timeline is running, that was the decision, and we had to make that decision. And now we're here for the board to approve our decision, which will then go up the chain of command, borough president, and so forth.
So I have a question because I'm a little confused. I must admit, I'm hearing that we're using the term affordable housing. Is this in fact affordable housing, or is there a component of affordable home ownership? Because I'm hearing different terms, maybe not necessarily in tonight's meeting, but when I read the minutes and I hear comments outside of the community, can either you or Daughtry bring some clarity to me that is it affordable housing or affordable home ownership? And if it is ownership, do you recall what the starting ownership prices are?
Ooh, I'm trying to remember the exact, but they did include one of the selling points, and maybe Daughtry could try to, maybe she remembers it better than I do. But their general sales pitch, if you want to put it that way, was that the affordables or the mandatory inclusionaries would be geared towards, it's be more of a cooperative. It wouldn't be the usual rentals, and that they would gear it so that people of modest means would be able to come in and gain equity because they would have they would call it an ownership. It would be like a cooperative, more so than a strict rental. That was the overall plan, to try to get these people, people who don't have very much a chance to have an equity stake in housing in downtown Brooklyn.
It is home ownership. Yeah, just to confirm, it is home ownership.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So given the time, I'm going to move this forward. As I said in the beginning, I'll apologize to anyone offended, but we're going to move this forward. So I entertain
would like to
committee's-
make a motion, Mr. Chair.
I entertain the committee's recommendation to disapprove 130 St. Felix rezoning.
Second
Can
the
I
motion.
make a friendly amendment to that?
I second that motion.
Hold on.
Chair
Mr. Augustus
seconds
is seconding.
Lenny's motion.
I'm sorry, Ernie, give me a second. I don't recall who accepted the motion.
Well, I'm
If you
accepting
will
the
accept
motion,
the
but I
motion.
haven't, I'm accepting the motion, but I have an amendment to it.
All right, so wait a
Is
minute.
that allowed
I
at
don't-
this stage?
Hold on, I don't know if you can amend your own motion. Like, how do you fully amend?
No,
your-
no, I'm not. You made a statement that you want to disapprove. I'm not making that motion. I'm disapproving, but I'm adding to that statement. My motion is not just a straight disapprove.
Mr.
So
Chair, I'll
you're
make a motion
supporting-
to accept the committee's,
Putting the committee's recommendation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a
so-
motion to accept the committee's recommendation to disapprove.
Correct.
I second that.
So I have an acceptance by Mr. Flanoy. I have a second by Mr. Augustus. I know I said I wasn't going to try to have any discussion on this, but I'm intrigued. So, Hazra, what is your statement?
My statement is that because of the contextual factor and the information we have about the BAM Historic District, I think this building should go no taller than the Shirley Chisholm building, which is the newest building in that neighborhood. And it also abuts the Hanson Place building, so that it should not go higher than 13 stories, which is the tallest new building in that district. The Shirley Chisholm Tower is the state building, and that is 13 stories. So this one, I will not approve that it goes to 23. It should go as high as the Shirley Chisholm. So that's my suggestion.
Lenny?
Singletary, can we make
no,
amendments
I
to a thing that was voted in committee?
No.
Yeah, and I'm asking you.
No.
But we can provide a rationale for why it's being rejected.
So,
And that's
I'm
what
sorry.
we're doing.
Wait. Stop. Let me just pause, everybody. As you asked me a question, let me answer your question. So the answer is no, but we do have the ability to vote yes or no and explain what those conditions are, or at least make sure that when we do vote, there's a clear understanding of what those concerns are, right? So we can do that. But right now, we have a motion on the floor that was moved by Mr. Flanoy. And Mr. Quint, help me understand this. I'm always fuzzy with this. I need Mr. Flanoy to accept the amendment, or do we vote on the recommended amendment?
The motion was to approve the committee's recommendation. If Mr. Flanoy accepts an amendment to change the committee's recommendation, that's okay. If he won't accept the amendment, then we would have to vote down the committee's recommendation, which would be counterintuitive, but then there'd be no recommendation, then anybody else can make a new motion as if, irrespective of what the committee voted, as to what the board's position on the application should be.
Thank you, Mr. Flanoy.
Could my statement just be a condition?
Mr. Flanoy, hold on, Mr. Flanoy, do you accept the recommend?
We had already discussed the height limitations during the committee meeting, and it was disapproved. So no, I will not accept.
All right, great. Now let's move to the roll call. Jessica?
Thanks, Lenny. All right, I'm going in alphabetical order, folks. Ms. Ali, how do you vote on 130 St. Felix?
So if I vote yes, I am disapproving?
Correct.
Yeah, if you vote yes, you're supporting the committee's recommendation to disapprove. If you vote no, you're going against the committee's recommendation to disapprove.
Can you say that again?
If you vote yes, you're in support of the committee's recommendation.
Mrs. Singletary, you're echoing.
Mr. Dwight Smith, can you please go on mute? Okay, that'll help. Thanks.
Okay.
If you
Lenny?
vote yes, if anyone votes yes, you're in support of the committee's recommendation to disapprove.
Okay, so I vote yes.
If you vote no, then you are against the committee's recommendation to disapprove.
Correct.
No, I'm correct. Thank you. So Ms. Ali.
Sorry, Mr.
vote.
John, stay on mute till it's your turn. I'm getting a lot of background noise. Mr. Andrews, how do you vote?
Yes. No. Sorry, no.
You vote no. Okay, thank you.
No.
Mr. Augustus, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Blount? Esther?
Yes.
Daughtry?
No.
Ms. Madison Chang, welcome to the board. How do you vote?
Yes.
Monique, welcome as well. How do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Dew, how do you vote?
A big yes.
Ms. Einhorn?
Yes means no.
Yes.
Ms. Feibush?
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira?
Yes.
Mr. Flanoy?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman?
Scholar.
Kate
Was that-
Gilman?
They called your
No,
name.
they didn't.
No, I didn't call your name. Kate Gilman, how do you vote? All right, we'll come back. Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
No.
Ms. Carolyn Hubbard coming unweary? I know I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Ms. Danner? Irene? Okay, we'll come back. Sam Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lastawecki?
Yes.
Mr. Luckett?
Yes.
Ms. McKnight?
No.
Ms. Medley?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Masso?
Yes.
Ms. Palicia?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. Quint?
Yes.
Mr. Quint?
Yes.
Sabrina Rezzi, welcome to the board.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Scala, now I'm calling your name.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Brandon Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dwight Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson Manning?
Yes.
Ms. Thurston, yes. Ms. Yearwood Young?
No.
Ms. Ayla Gringer?
Yes.
And Chair Singletary?
Recuse.
Okay. Okay, the yeses have it 32 to 5 to 1 recusal. Oh, although, you know what? Can we go back?
I'm back on, yes.
Yeah, Irene, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry. And Kate Gilman, are you able to come back on? Did we lose Kate? No, I see her on here. Okay, well, it still passes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gordon, your next item.
Okay, well, I guess the next one's going to be the Brooklyn Navy Yard Special Rezoning District. We recommended that unanimously, and we ask for your approval.
Any discussion or any questions?
Give you a motion to approve.
No, I want to do the discussion first. I already said that at the top. Any discussion, any questions for Mr. Gordon? Doreen?
Hey, I went to their town hall a couple of months back, and in this last ULURP that we had in Dumbo, 69 Adams Street, one of the things that came out of that approval was that Councilmember Levin already talked to, I forget the gentleman's name, who's the CEO, president of the Navy Yard, that the cinder block building in Dumbo, which is an iron shop, be moved, and that we get about 20,000 square feet of space. And then we had a walkthrough with 69 Adams with all the community partners and stakeholders and elected officials. And the reason there's so much like storage is that, you know, the rationale was well, we need to be close to the shop. So I have to hand it to the council member. He's like, well, we're going to move the shop and then they'll have to move their supplies. So he's also supporting a proposal to really restore. So that's another thing. But we just had 69 Adams Street, and a big piece of it was the York Street subway. So, you know, we put a lot of pressure on this developer, but in the Navy Yard, you know, you know, I think we need to also put some community pressure. So the money that came from, you know, a lot of participation in the community, I have to say, Suzanne, Latrell, John Dew, you know, of this board, you know, brought attention to the Farragut residents and the school. So like, I like that, you know, yeah, it's exciting and it's a slick project. It's really wonderful, but we have like, it's going to massively overburden the safety of this subway station. And, you know, I'm just hoping this board, you know, it's like, right, like I would have probably in committee approved it as well. But I think that, you know, sometimes we have to talk about these other things and try to get something from them for the community. So if that one building, which was an EDC brokerage situation, was able to get money for the subway and money for this, for the school and the Farragut residents, I think the Navy Yard should have to give something back, because the increase is going to be wonderful in terms of jobs and all these great things, but there has to be also an investment into the infrastructure. And so, you know, I'm going to vote to approve it as well and support the committee. And I thank you.
Good job, Mr. Flanoy.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. Yeah, the Navy Yard right now has already been putting funds into transportation alternatives to the subway. Currently, there is a ferry that the Navy Yard has instituted. They have a bus line that currently is picking up individuals from downtown Brooklyn and also from Atlantic. They also have access to a lot of biking. Okay, they have a lot of bikes that they actually use to go back and forth into the Navy Yard. And there are many entrances to the Navy Yard to also allow people to drive. So they have actually taken into consideration that there are other alternatives, not just the subway, to get to the Navy Yard. In addition to this, the Navy Yard right now is basically a model for the rest of the world on how to actually use space like this to actually have multiple uses, commercial, not residential, retail, okay, and also manufacturing. Right. So because of all these things, the Navy Yard right now is at full capacity, and they need to expand. If they have the space, they're not going to be building up. They're going to be building at the same level that they currently are. So what I'm looking at right now is the jobs that are created in the Navy Yard are something that this district needs, because these are blue collar working jobs that we need. In addition to that, the Navy Yard is a good partner with our district. Okay. And that's the other thing that I see. They listen to us. They hear us, and they take into consideration the things we suggest to them. So as far as the transportation needs, Navy Yard is not for profit. Okay, so it's not as if they have a ton of funds to actually use to improve, okay, the subway. They are aware of it, okay, and they will advocate for it, but I don't believe that they can actually, you know, grab it away. I don't think we should be asking the Navy Yard to try to fund the development of the subway. Thank you.
Ms. Freibush?
Yeah, hi. I have a question to what Doreen said, something about a school. Which school were you referring to, and what issue was that?
I was referring to PS 307. So in 69 Adams Street, the council member used some of the money that we were getting, $1.5 million towards Adams Street. I agree with everything you said, Bill, because I do know that to be true. And I think that they've very thoughtful, but it doesn't mean it doesn't put a burden. So I know that they will advocate, strongly, and they know that they've done all these other things. So I agree
No,
with
I don't, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You said 307, but they need money as part of this, or?
No, they don't.
It's land, what is the issue for 307?
They don't need money, but I think when these big developments happen, even if they're nonprofits to something of that scale, if it wasn't in Dumbo, but in our deal, we contributed, something. It doesn't always translate into dollars, but I think that, I don't know, they're getting a lot. And I just think that the surrounding neighborhoods, but what Bill says speaks to it very well. It's creating jobs, it's creating, all the artists and businesses and art businesses that were displaced in Dumbo are also there. So,
so it isn't a specific ask. It isn't like that the school wants a specific ask for a specific program.
No, but PDC and our ULURP actively went to them and asked if for a specific ask, and our funds were allocated, and we did it wholeheartedly.
I still don't get it, but okay.
It's very simple. This was a community benefit that was negotiated because the community board rejected 69 Adams Street. They wanted to capture the funds from that. So the negotiation was with the community to provide those funds, money for York Street study for making it ADA compliant, and some for the Farragut community, including the school. That's how it happened.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank
Daughtry?
Just a quick note, that part of the proposal includes that the new Brooklyn Navy Yard would undertake a traffic demand management program, which would be reviewed every 3 years. And that's one tool that they would use to respond to additional increased traffic, which there will be, not just vehicular, but pedestrian and transit riders as well. So I just wanted to share that fact.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Yes, thank you. I'm not suggesting that we don't approve this proposal, but I do think it's responsible for us to attach to it some conditions, that it does include some improvements to York Street. I don't know if everyone knows that York Street, with its single entrance and exit, it gets as much traffic as World Trade Center Cortland. The Navy Yard has about 10,000 employees going there. They're saying that with this proposal, it's going to go to 20,000. That is a significant and unsafe condition. We did meet with the Navy Yard about York Street specifically. They actually did not seem engaged in that. And I think it's our responsibility as a community board to use our might to say how important this is. I think it's the Navy Yard's responsibility, if not using their dollars, to use their might and political will to get something done at York Street. We have a feasibility study coming. We are a long way from getting that work done. And I think that we need to use our might to say, we can't keep building and developing even with all these good things and leaving this unsafe condition. That is the closest station. Yes, they've done ferries. Yes, they've done bikes. They're discouraging cars going to the Navy Yard, thankfully. York Street is the closest subway station. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add, listen, let's take and stick with the facts. I think sometimes it's a little bit hard to engage or to decipher who's engaged and who's not. So let's think about that, Mr. Scott.
I agree with Mr. Flournoy. I think the Navy Yard has been a very good neighbor and has actually increased the jobs in our community and has always taken the community into interest first. I don't know, we should pick our battles. I don't think this is the battle to go after a nonprofit who has been, as Bill said, a model for all of us in the community, to go again after a nonprofit when the city should be doing its job in infrastructure and building. We can't put it on their shoulders. I think that's the wrong approach. There are other places we can pick our battles. That's not the area we should go after. They have only been a good employer for the community. Thank you.
Is not Navy Yard funding.
John, hold on for me. John, hold on. I got one more person before you. Maisha?
I hear everyone's concerns, and yes, York Street is a big issue. I also sit on the Economic Development Committee for years now and know for a fact what a wonderful neighbor the Navy Yard has been. And in recent years, I mean, the diversity, it's just amazing. So first of all, if anybody from the Navy Yard is on here, thank you for what you're doing. That building itself that they're looking to create will bring childcare. It's a lab for our CUNY schools neighboring. So it would, New York City Tech, for instance. I want to say that I spoke to Steve Levin yesterday about it. He did say that he was able to get some funds to fund half the project of the train station, a new entrance, or that's what he told me yesterday. I spoke to him yesterday. I saw him on Duffield Street.
Yeah, there's not an estimate yet for the cost. So
okay, yeah. So that's what he said. He mentioned about the money that EDC was able to give to that specific school. And the reality is, again, the Navy Yard is a nonprofit. Whether they have more money than the grassroots nonprofit, yeah, that's a different story. But the monies they get have to be allocated specifically for whatever programs or buildings. And so I too just want to, I don't want to diminish everyone's concerns when it comes to the train station. I would love to think about how we can come together and put more pressure on the city, on the state, and on these for-profit developers that are going. And I think that when we come back in the fall, that needs to be one of our main focuses, even if it means organizing outside of our community board meetings, right? So just wanted to share that, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dew.
Yeah, I need to bring clarity to this. We are not asking the Navy Yard to provide financial support. We need their expertise for the York Street station. We need to figure out how to install a second entrance, hopefully ADA compliant. We're not asking for funding. We need expertise. What Steve Levin got was a result of 60 Adam Street, again, millions of dollars to study how to do entrance, second entrance, and ADA compliance, hopefully, to the York Street station. No money from the Navy Yard, expertise from the Navy Yard. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions from board members?
Lenny, this is Carlton. Just to point out, actually, the closest subway station historically has been the High Street Brooklyn Bridge station. If you come out on the Adams Street side, that used to have a sign indicating buses to the Navy Yard. York Street's a little bit further downhill. The closest station, people should realize, High Street Brooklyn Bridge A and C station is absolutely the station that's closest to the Navy Yard. We still do need work on York Street, but York Street was not usually the service station for the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Thank you, Carlton. Ms. Peterson.
Thank you so much, Carlton, for that, because that is so true. I was born down in Farragut Houses, and that York Street station has been in need for 1,000 years. And High Street is also in bad shape, and it needs some work done in High Street. However, I support the Navy Yard. I just wanted to just quickly say this, Mr. Chair, that I support the Navy Yard and their endeavors, because the Navy Yard has been all the things that has been said. They have been a great community partner. The community knows that they exist, and the community could feel the Navy Yard. So that's a great thing for the community. And so I just wanted to say that. And I just had a question though, York Street or High Street. So let's take York Street, has 2 trees, and some of those other big developers was a part of any conversation back when Vinegar Hill and Dumbo was being built upon when I was a young girl. It was just nothing back there. Are they a part of the conversation, if anybody knows as of right now and over the many years that they knew that York Street would be overrun with people because of all of the development that they had put forth.
So let me just interject for a minute. You
And
still look
others.
young. You still look young. Number two, this is about the Navy Yard. So I need to focus on the Navy Yard.
Right.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
Go ahead, Victor.
my thing is, it needs to be accessible. What, you want somebody else to fall down the stairs like Ms. Goodman did before it becomes accessible? Come on, people, get it together. MTA needs to step up and make it accessible. If it's not accessible, it's not gonna work. You're gonna have traffic all over the place.
Thank you, Victor. We agree. This is the Navy Yard. Let me bring us back to focus. The Navy Yard. Does anybody have any questions or any comments that have not already been stated related to the Brooklyn Navy Yard? If you don't have anything that's not repetitive, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask a question.
I don't have
Board
a
members.
question.
Go ahead,
This is
Latrell.
Latrell. I want to thank the Navy Yard for all they, done for the community in the past. They, like everyone say, touche. They've been a great partner for the community. And I was very happy to hear from Daughtry that they're planning to do a traffic study, because my concern is what goes on outside of the Navy Yard. In the Navy Yard is fine, but there's a lot of traffic outside of Navy Yard. And in September, when everything gets back to normal, there's going to be a lot of traffic around Navy and Sands, Flushing Avenues. So I'm glad to know, and I would like to also to know when was the last time they did a traffic study? So that's my concern about the traffic in the area. But thank you to the Navy Yard for all they bring to the community, to the Farragut community, and thank you. We're very grateful for everything y'all offer us. But
Thank you, Latrell. Any other questions from board members? I'm open the door open for one last question before we call the vote. Mr. Meyer.
No, I'm just trying to make the motion.
I'll take it.
I'm on the motion that we approve the committee's recommendation.
I would second. Second, Mr. Flanoy. Jessica, are you ready?
Am ready. Okay, so a vote yes is a vote to support the committee's recommendation to approve this application, just to clarify.
Correct.
So we will go in alphabetical order again. Ms. Ali, how do you vote?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Andrews, Victor.
Yes.
Mr. Augustus. Ernie? Okay, we'll come back.
Oh, hold on. Ernie, come off mute and say something, please. Hurry up.
Yes. Can you hear
My
me?
God, there you go. All right, let's go.
Thanks. Ms. Blount.
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen.
Yes.
Ms. Chang.
Yes.
Ms. Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Mr. Du.
Yes.
Ms. Einhorn.
Yes.
Ms. Feibush.
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira.
Yes.
Mr. Flanoy.
Yes.
Ms. Gallo.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman.
Yes.
Welcome back. Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Howald.
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard Kavanagh.
Yes.
Ms. Janner.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Lastowecki.
Yes.
Mr. Luckett.
Yes.
Ms. McKnight.
Yes.
Ms. Medley.
Yes.
Mr. Meyer.
Yes.
Ms. Morales.
Yes.
Ms. Masso.
yes.
Ms. Policia.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Quint.
Abstain.
Mr. Quint.
Yes.
Ms. Rezzi.
Yes.
Mr. Scala.
Yes.
Mr. Brandon Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Dwight Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson Manning.
Yes.
Ms. Thurston, yes. Ms. Yearwood Young.
Yes.
Ms. Ayla Gringer.
Yes.
And Chair Singletary.
Yes.
All right, 39-1 with seven absent, it passes. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Carlton, what's next?
Okay, the third ULURP is the Gowanus Neighborhood Plan, which we disapproved 7-3, and we ask for your support to disapprove.
Any discussion or any questions from Mr. Gordon?
Yes,
Okay.
Jenner.
What's the vote? You know, it says 6-4 in the in this, and I thought the number was 5-4. What is it exactly is the vote that was
Okay, there were 2 votes. The first vote.
Just
okay,
the, just the disapproval, Carlton.
Yeah, the disapproval is 7-3. There was an earlier vote.
No.
It's 5-4 to 0, I think.
Right, I thought it was 5-4-0, and then we have listed here 6-4-0. I thought Daughtry said 5-4-0.
Yeah, I think
On
Daughtry.
the
I did.
on the agenda, we have 6-4-0. Which one is it?
My notes say 5 in favor. This is the motion to disapprove as presented. Carlton, you put that forward, and Judy was a second. I have a 5 in favor, 4 opposed, 0 abstention.
That's fine.
Thank you. I think that's important for our deliberation.
Thank you. Oh, wait. So Taya, I need you to come off mute. Unmute yourself. You're saying 6-4-0?
Correct.
All right, so how do we have a conflict between the minute taker and what the office is showing?
If it helps, Ms. Christopher, I don't blame you. It was not a strict reversal of the first vote, which was 5-4-1. The second vote was 6-4-0, and it was unusual, so we noted it.
So if you do the math, 5-4-1 does indicate 10 people. 5-4-0 would indicate 9 if my math is correct. So I think it is 6-4-0. Nobody left the meeting, correct?
I see.
Correct.
Okay. So
5-4-1 is 10.
Thank you. I'm glad we validated my math. So Mr. Meyer, your answer is 6-4-0 is the actual vote to disapprove.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we're correct.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Helpful. I appreciate it. Any other questions on this?
I wanted to make a comment.
All right. So is Irene that mentioned the speaking?
Yes, Irene.
So Irene and then Barbara Zalek-Ringer. Yes, Irene.
And I want to make a comment also.
I'll get you next, Betty. Hold on.
Okay, great.
What I
Thank
wanted
you.
to say is we have seen in the city, not just in our district, but all over the city, these massive rezonings that just result in gentrification and shoving out small businesses. This is the same old. And I think we've been burnt too many times. Secondly, the one good thing, supposedly, that they were offering was on city-owned land where they don't have to pay a developer. They were going to do really affordable housing. But the catch is it's the most polluted land, which they cannot totally ameliorate, but just put a liner in it because the pollution goes down 100 feet. They don't go that far. So it's just, again, putting the poor people to where you have a choice, housing or asthma.
Barbara?
Yes, I was at the public hearing for a good portion of it, but I just want to confirm, although we have 4 blocks of the 80, we are voting on the whole project. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Betty?
Yeah. And to build on what Barbara said, and I listened to most of the hearing, just because we only cover 4 blocks, we have to consider everything, because the combined sewage overflow, the floodplain, all of those issues, the environmental issues, aren't just sitting on those 4 blocks and walled off. That literally flows with the water to the community with the toxins. Nidhi Velasquez called on the DEIS to be redone with full participation of federal agencies as required by state and federal law, and they didn't do that. And I also want to add that the lead engineer of the EPA, who's overseeing the cleaning of the Gowanus Canal, noted that the toxic vapors can rise and be trapped in the proposed buildings, and it poses significant health hazards to future residents. So as much as, you know, our committees and our board support affordable housing and truly affordable housing, This is an affront to environmental justice concerns.
Thank you, Betty. Any other questions? Mr. Harrison?
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to piggyback on what Betty said. This is one of the most toxic sites in the country. One does not build any kind of housing on a garbage dump. And doing so would only disturb the stuff that's there to the tune that has been mentioned and some that has not. It is just a thing that should be cleaned up and not built on. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Doreen?
Yeah, thank you. I think that since I want to just piggyback on everybody and what Betty said, since the city very, controlled the process and combined our hearings, I think very much that, we have to look at the whole thing. And I was very impressed. I was on most of the 6 hours, as many of our community board was. So I really commend everybody. It was a marathon. But I want to say that legally a sufficient EIS must be completed with EPA, FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, HUD, all participating as involved agencies, as they are required to do by state and federal law. And any conditions added by the CB as part of a vote to approve the rezoning will not protect the community, which we've seen time and time again. Increased flood risk, climate change, sea level rise, none of this is being taken into account. But I think, everybody should be aware that Senator Schumer's office is been fully briefed and taking this on. And everybody mentioned before about Congresswoman Velasquez, but she's reached out. She's really doing her due diligence. And so I'm glad to see the support of all the important things on this board. So.
Any other questions?
I just have one comment.
Sure, Mr. Dugan.
One, which is that when we did ask about the actual canal, whether it would ever be swimmable, they would not answer the question, which means there is no sense that that canal will ever be functional for the community. So that is enough to not allow any development. Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on Mr. Dew's comment, and Kate, I see you. I'm going to call you next, so be ready. I thought it was interesting that, once again, when I was listening to the comments, the question was raised, well, why don't you clean up the canal first, and then let's have this conversation? And the response, if I recall, and Carol Ann and other members who were on the call, you correct me, I think the response was, well, we need to get it approved first, then we can get the money, and then we can clean it up. So I thought that was a little interesting, because if you focus solely on an environmental issue, then it's solely an environmental issue. I think the other aspects of it come later. You deal with environment first, and then you can deal with the other aspects later. I just want to share that with everyone, because I at least found that question interesting on the heels of the question when Mr. Dew asked, is it swimmable? Kate?
I guess I'm curious, because the vote was pretty close in committee. I would just love to hear from some people who voted in favor as to, I think we've heard from a lot of people who are against it, but just why did, 4 of the committee members, if they're willing to speak, vote in favor of it? Or sorry, vote, I guess, against disapproving it, is a better phrase.
So wait, I want to be clear, because I think I wasn't clear. You want to hear from people who voted in support of disapproving
the disapproval.
Yeah, so one of the 4. You want to hear from one of the 4.
Right, and I don't know if that was there for the zoning, or if they were just against complete disapproval without
So
conditions.
anyone who voted against it, if you choose to, right, you don't have to, but if you choose to share your comments, a committee member, Kate would love to, a board member, Kate would love to hear that response.
I'll respond. I was one of the 4. And I think part of it is that I was not ready to disapprove it outright. I think we've had a lot of good conversations in committee about the things that we need. And I think these public hearings and conversations that we have about rezonings are an opportunity to lean on people to get what we need. This has come up already. I also paid attention in the 6-hour combined public hearing, and there was a lot of folks who emphasized the need for housing, and I wholeheartedly support that. I think third, I know that what's being proposed to be built on public place, which is Gowanus Green, could make a substantial difference to a lot of people. It's a big project, it's a full block, it includes a school. And I know that there are so many oversight agencies that there's no way in the world that people would build something that includes housing in a school on something that is not safe. That's my professional opinion. So I think that I wasn't ready to dismiss the rezoning outright. And so I said so in committee.
Thanks, that's really helpful.
George, we thank you for being comfortable with responding. Let me just say something too, and I've been wrestling with this because let me be super clear. I do not, and in no way am I trying to persuade any of my colleagues to vote a certain way. Let me say that one more time. I am not, nor am I trying to persuade any of my colleagues to vote in a certain way. But I want to remind us, we do have the ability to express and provide more detail with our vote by identifying conditions. I think sometimes we've gotten in this habit of yes, no, and you don't build in the conditions to a larger audience who may not have taken the time to either watch the recordings, fully approve or read the minutes, and maybe not have the context. I remind us that as we continue to vote on many issues that come to our community, and which ironically makes our community so unique because we do deal with so many things, I just want to remind us that putting forth a motion to support or disapprove and including the conditions which we strongly believe in to amplify a point that was mentioned earlier about using our might can also be used to create conditions. So I just put that out there as a reminder, not to persuade anyone on how to vote. Any other questions? Mr. Flournoy.
Mr. Singletary, based on that comment you just made, when the board office actually finally does the final written assessment of what happened at the board meeting, they do not include the comments from the committee members?
We give you what you give us. If you give us no with nothing, we give no with nothing. You give us yes with something, we give yes with something. The full context of the minutes are for public review, and we can get that. In cases where those questions are asked of us and some agencies ask for a little more detail about what transpired, we are able to provide the minutes. We don't intentionally withhold anything, but if the agency asks simply what was the vote, and you just give what the vote was, if there's no additional context, we usually give what's asked of us. Carol Ann, if I'm missing something, please add additional color.
You're correct. And if I can just say this, at a meeting earlier this year, when I requested that people opposed to a motion give some color, some folks were, were taken aback at the request, but this is why.
Caroline, excuse me, Mr. Singletary, may I just make a comment to Caroline?
You can just make the comment, we'll address it.
Okay, thank you. Caroline, if I simply say I approve or I oppose and also like to include the committee's comments, would that be sufficient?
Well, I mean, let me just chime in on that. I mean, that's kind of vague, Bill, in the sense that there are a lot of comments, right? And by the time you start to drill down on which comment, you would have been more efficient in just explaining what the condition is.
Mr. Singletary.
Yes, Mr. Duke.
I have to make one comment.
Go ahead.
Both with 130 St. Felix and with Gowanus, all of these projects are developer driven. They don't come from any city discussion of what should happen in a particular community until a developer comes across with a plan. So as we approach this, certainly going forward, I am always going to expect the community board to have something additional that benefits the community and not the developer. The problem with 130 St. Felix is there was absolutely zero discussion with the community and no community benefit. The developer came forward and decided that if he included or she included the Brooklyn Music School, it was going to sail by the community board because we have a reputation of approving ULURPs. We have to look at what we do going forward and make sure that the developers understand that Community Board 2 is no longer a pushover community board. We've approved everything. We see what we have now. We have a city and a community full of homeless people with a lot of expensive housing. We didn't do our jobs for the community. We have to actually think about the community as we move forward with all future ULURPs. Thank you.
So listen, I thank you for those comments. Any other questions?
Just to point out, Gowanus came from the mayor's office.
Chair Singletary, I have my hand raised if it's okay.
Sure, go ahead, Lindsay.
So I want to build upon what actually our chair was saying and what Ms. Yearwood Young was saying in the previous vote, that the conditions are how our voice is heard. And right now I feel like our votes are a little empty and lack the context necessary to raise our points and raise our issues with the community. And it feels like this committee needs a little bit more strategy behind their vote and a little bit and put a little bit more elbow grease into the conditions that they feel are important. We spend a lot of time and energy debating these topics and trying to make our voices heard. And I feel like it's a little empty and hollow when we don't back them up with a vote on what those conditions are, because sometimes we really disagree on what those conditions are. And we need to speak with some clarity about why we're disapproving a lot of this development in this area. And I really hope that next year we just think about that strategy, whether it's we're voting yes with conditions or no with conditions. I don't think it matters. But CB6, for every developer that comes in front of them now, they're asking for a place to put bikes. They're asking for, like, we just have to think about what we want our community to be and what we want it to look like and how we want to make that voice heard.
All right, one last question before we call the question. Anyone else want to give that last question? George, is that a yes?
I have a proposal of conditions but I don't know if it's the time.
So is that you wanted to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the Gowanus neighborhood rezoning with the following conditions. One, that we meet the overwhelming voices from Gowanus Coalition for Neighborhood Justice to include the following three conditions. One is that the rezoning include the budget required for the repairs of the NYCHA projects within the district. Number two, that they address the combined sewage overflow issue to ensure that in the future raw sewage is not dumped into the Gowanus Canal. And that there's an oversight accountability task force that is engaged and active and has real power throughout the rezoning and building process. That was those three I heard over and over again at the public hearing from GC&J. I would like to add another one, which is that in the parcels that are being upzoned, which is a lot, but not everything, I believe, that we ask for increased affordability, i.e. lower AMI income bands.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Jessica, you ready? To it.
Mr. Singletary, can I say something? I want to add something. I know that the community can, okay. Community board just make recommendations. So when we make, now I understand whatever we vote is a recommendation. When we make a recommendation with conditions and you're gonna, people will lean to vote yes because, or yes or no because of those conditions. They can just ignore those conditions just like they ignore everything else. I think we should vote on what is presented to us.
So here's what I'll say to you. One, I can tell you firsthand, although I haven't been chair a long time, that the Brooklyn Borough President's Office has taken serious consideration of what comes out of Community Board 2. And so I would say at least that one agency, I'm not saying others haven't, but I can tell you definitely the Borough President's Office has called multiple occasions to say, why did the Community Board vote this way? or can I get the information? And then they have come back and supported us. There have been times where they maybe not. Now, let me be really clear. I'm not saying all the time that we make support that we get it. I want to be really clear. But what I will tell you as an example, that office has really engaged, and their land use division has come back and asked many things. I don't know that there any agency or anyone in this process, and during my tenure and those who preceded me, have always said that, yeah, we're going to take the community board's recommendation. You witness, because you've known your own self, there are times where our recommendation falls on deaf ears. But that does not mean, nor should it preclude us from highlighting some of the points that we think are paramount to us through the act of including conditions. That's what I would say to that.
Well, Mr. Singletary, Chair Singletary, I have to weigh in.
Well, actually, I mean, let me be respectful, John. You actually, don't have to weigh in. And I do have a question on the floor. If you want to ask a question, you can.
Well, because you've been making comments about the ability to follow through on recommendations, I just think the community board needs to be aware that when we did the upzoning in 2004, one of the recommendations was ADA compliance for all of the train stations, and we have gotten in 18 years no additional ADA compliance. That was a recommendation for the upzoning, along with the park and the comfort stations and the underground parking. All of them have been forgotten about. All of them. We've gotten nothing.
Yeah, I wasn't the chair, and I can't speak to that. But what I can, and what I will reiterate is that I didn't say all agencies respond. I was particular in my comments. That being said, Jessica called a question. I mean, go through the roll, please.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question.
Jessica, go through the roll, please.
What are we voting on? Are we voting with Daughtry's?
Yes.
You're voting on Daughtry's recommendation. I mean, Daughtry's
Not
motion.
the committee's recommendation?
Daughtry's motion.
No.
Oh.
Motion is to approve the Gowanus neighborhood rezoning with the conditions that Daughtry outlined. Okay, let's go through the list. Ms. Ali, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Andrews? Victor? Okay, we'll come back. Ernie, how do you vote?
Ernie, come off mute.
No.
Okay, Ms. Blount, how do you vote?
No.
Ms. Karstarfin?
Yes.
And I think it might be Ernie off mute. Would you mind going back on mute? Apologies if I'm blaming you for someone else. Ms. Chang, how do you vote?
No.
Was that a yes?
No, sorry.
No, okay. Ms. Cumberbatch, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Dew?
A large no.
Friendly reminder, if you're not the person whose name I called, please stay on mute. Ms. Einhorn?
Yes.
Ms. Feibush?
No.
Mr. Ferreira?
No.
Mr. Flanoy?
I am going to say yes.
Ms. Gallo?
No, that killed me.
Ms. Gilman?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
No.
Mr. Howald?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard coming unweary?
No.
Ms. Janner?
No.
Ms. Johnson?
No.
Mr. Lastawecki?
No.
Mr. Luckett?
No.
Ms. McKnight?
No.
Ms. Medley? Clenita? All right, we'll come back. Mr. Meyer?
I have a question. Voting no means we're disapproving the committee's recommendation?
No.
No, we're past that.
If you vote yes, you are approving the application, the Gowanus neighborhood rezoning application, with the conditions that Daughtry outlined. If you vote no, you are not supporting the motion that Daughtry made.
So yes, I'm supporting them. Yes, I'm supporting the vote, motion that Daughtry made.
Great. Ms. Morales?
No.
Ms. Masso?
No.
Ms. Policia,
No.
Ms. Peterson,
No.
Ms. Quint,
No.
Mr. Quint,
No.
Ms. Rezzi,
No.
Mr. Scala,
No.
Mr. Brandon Smith,
No.
Mr. Dwight Smith,
No.
Ms. Thompson Manning,
No.
Ms. Thurston, yes. Ms. Yearwood Young,
Yes.
Ms. Ayler Gringer,
No.
Chair Singletary.
No.
Okay, the motion fails 9 to 29 with 7 absences. Let me go back quickly to Mr. Andrews. Victor, can you vote? Okay, we'll leave him absent. And Ms. Medley.
Hello, I'm abstaining.
Abstain. Okay, thank you. Okay, 9 to 29 to 1 with 8 absences.
All right, I entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Jessica, call the roll, please.
1 second, we're just updating the sheet. Thank you, team. Thank you. I'll clear it out. Here we go. All right. Sorry, we were not prepared with our columns for a second vote. Okay, Ms. Ali, how do you vote?
Oh, yes is to disapprove?
Correct.
Yes, my vote is yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Augustus,
Yes.
Ms. Blount,
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen,
No.
Ms. Chang,
Yes.
Ms. Cumberbatch,
Yes.
Mr. Dew,
Absolutely.
Ms. Einhorn,
Yes.
Ms. Feibush,
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira,
Yes.
Mr. Flanoy,
Yes.
Ms. Gallo,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Howald,
No.
Ms. Hubbard Coming Unweary,
Yes.
Ms. Janner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lastowecki, Andrew? All right, we'll come back. Mr. Luckett,
Yes.
Ms. McKnight,
Yes.
Ms. Medley. You still want to abstain?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Meyer,
No.
Ms. Morales,
Yes.
Ms. Masso. Latrell?
Yes.
Ms. Policia,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Quint,
Yes.
Mr. Quint,
Yes.
Ms. Rezzi,
Yes.
Mr. Scala,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Dwight Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson Manning,
Yes.
Ms. Thurston, no, Ms. Yearwood Young,
No.
Ms. Ayler Gringer,
Yes.
Mr. Singletary.
Yes.
All right, let's go back really quickly. Is Andrew still on the line?
Yes.
Would you like to vote yes? No? Is that a yes? Sorry, I keep talking over you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, it passes 34 to 5 with 1 abstention.
All right, Carlton, you have
Okay, Lenny.
3 text amendments.
All right, now the next 3 items are Department of City Planning text amendments. Would you want me to do them and present all 3 and then?
Yes.
Okay. The first, well, I guess the next one is for the hotel text amendment. These are all from the Department of City Planning. Basically, what they want to do is to allow for hotel development, but in M1 or residential districts, manufacturing one or residential districts, as long, and they say here, as you know, the review process would allow the commission to ensure that the new hotels do not create significant problems with the development in the community. So that's what they changed the hotel. They wanted to be a little bit flexible about the hotel. We approved that one 901. The next one is the Fresh 2 text amendment, which is for fresh produce and fruits and vegetables for supermarkets. We wanted to get more supermarkets in the community. We've been fussing about that for years, although we've had some expansion on supermarkets, but still the text amendment would encourage the development of further stores that would provide fresh fruits, vegetables, and full range of grocery products. And we approved that one 10-0-0. The next one is the text amendment for health and fitness. And we would eliminate the special permit, which would require normally gyms and so forth to apply. And what they will do is they will allow, what is it now? Hold on. Okay. In commercial and manufacturing districts, will allow for, what does it have here? Hold on. Yes, for licensed massage, and will allow for in residential, commercial, and districts for the for gyms and spas and so forth. So it'll give some flexibility on that. They won't have to be coming to us all the time, every time somebody wants to open up a new gym. But they will, they told us that they will be concerned about any that have any high impact gyms that might be coming forward, but will allow more flexibility for the planning. And we approved that one 10-0-0. So we approved all three, and we asked for your approval of the 3 for the hotels, the Fresh 2 for supermarkets, and for health and fitness for gyms and spas and so forth.
I'll entertain the motion to accept the committee recommendation for all 3 text amendments.
So moved, Mr.
Second.
Chair.
Second by Ms. Peterson. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Flanoy?
Yes, I approved all 3, but my one issue was with the health and fitness. I felt there wasn't a significant, to address the actual situations where you have in mixed use areas. If you have residential, I was concerned about the hours of these gyms or whatever the spas, whatever you want to have there. Because in a residential area, you may have gyms that are open 24 hours, or they may open at 5 o'clock, and maybe until 11 o'clock. And I was concerned about traffic in those particular situations for residential areas. And I felt that was not addressed properly, or residents didn't have the ability to actually have a say in complaining when you had extended hours in their area. That was my one concern.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? So moved, thank you. The applications for recommendation to Landmarks and Preservation Commission.
Okay, I guess again, you want to do them in a package?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Next one is on 89 Renton Street in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. That one was a application to replace broken bluestone with concrete. That one we had initially, there was some opposition from a couple of our members because of the desire to keep bluestone, and bluestone is historic and people do like it. However,
Excuse me, Carlton, I think you're a week off. You're the last one.
Well, it comes up on the, if I am wrong because I noticed it came up on the agenda. I thought we'd done these, but they seem to have come up on the agenda. If I'm wrong, I'll gladly skip it.
Not on the.
Not on
most
this
recent.
agenda.
Is it on the agenda, just those three? Okay, then I'll get rid of it. Then I can, yeah, that's three less that I have to worry about. Then I'll just do the Clifton, Montague, and State. Good. Okay. So on the, hold on, yeah, 10 Montague Street, Brooklyn Heights Historic District. This one was a renovation of a unit at the top, the third unit, the condominium, which was for the, just a lot of exterior work that would be seen from the Brooklyn Heights Promenade. There would be some work, let's see, yeah, windows and doors and sconces. We liked it and we approved that one 8-1. 48 Clifton Place in the Clinton Hill Historic District. Application was to do a lot of work on the decks, around the fences, with new openings, with doors and windows. Again, we particularly, and it would be some solar panel work on that one, on the top. We liked it and we approved that one 10-0. 109 State Street in Brooklyn Heights. And it was a good bit of work that has to be done on facades, basement, work, let's see. What else do we have here? This one they're gonna put a new bluestone on this one. More access, for the basement, rear entry, new, new, it would be full with, new window, be some new windows, with new masonry, number of things, and we approved this one 10-0.
Thank you, Carlton. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation for all three.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Mr. Harrison, second by, was that Mr. Dew?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion?
I just want to say the one for Clifton Place, I thought we did approve it with a condition. I don't know if you have that.
Does anyone recall? Ms. Blunt, recollection?
Let's see. Yes, but I think there was something to do with the historic doors. Was that the recommendation we're talking about?
Yes.
Want to try to keep the historic doors? I think I have a little note on that.
I don't know if Daughtry has the notes.
Yeah.
I was not note taking then.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, but we did approve that one.
So let's do this. If it was approved with the conditions, let's find those conditions and get them to the board office, and we'll include those then.
Can't put them in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Nick. Okay, great. So we have it in the chat. All right. Conditions, read the historic doors in the facade. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Next committee to report, Parks and Recreation.
Good evening and thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to welcome our new members, Madison, Monique, and Sabrina. The Parks Committee is very busy and it's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you join us. And I also want to introduce my co-chair, Andrew Lastawecki. Just to briefly, at our last meeting, we had an extensive update on the capital projects of the parks. And we also approved the plan for the green playground reconstruction. We're going to talk tonight about the renaming of Willoughby Square. This area has been under consideration for over 10 years. It's Duffield and Gold, I think it is. Now, the naming of this green space came before the community board in 2019 through the YECA committee. At that time, the name approved by the board was Abolitionist Place Park. In March of this year, the Economic Development Corporation came to the Parks Committee and told us that the area could not be called a park because it was not parkland under the jurisdiction of the Parks Department, that this land was part of the development area there, and that the air rights from this property were used for development of adjacent lands, and that the city law department had also confirmed that this land could not be called a park. The committee was quite divided on this issue, with a number of members feeling strongly that it be called a park as promised and voted upon by the community board 2 years ago. And wondered if this was a problem, why wasn't it brought up at that time? And they also claim that there are other green spaces in the city that are known as parks, but are not under the jurisdiction of the Parks Department. I think part of their concern is that if it's not designated a park, that it could be subject to further development. An initial motion was made to keep the name park. That motion was defeated 3-5-0. A second motion was made to recommend that the square be renamed Abolitionist Place. And as you know, the two sides of the street will be called Abolitionist Place in recognition of the history of that area. That motion passed 5-1-2. At the May executive meeting, the motion to accept the committee's recommendation was approved unanimously, 9-0-0.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Harrison, second.
Second.
Thank you, Carlton. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, John do have some discussion.
Go ahead, John.
First of all, that park has been reduced in size by about half from what was originally proposed. And the amount of residential development has skyrocketed around that park. So the park actually is totally inadequate. The initial proposal for that park was to include an underground parking garage of 300 or 400 cars so that we could get all of the agency vehicles across the street. That was eliminated. The other proposal of a restroom that was supposed to be in the park, that was also eliminated. So, and none of these items came back before the community board. This is just following up on my earlier discussion of the 2004 upzoning, where we had all these community benefits built into the upzoning, and they little by little got eliminated, or in this case of the park, cut in half. So we have no choice but to approve what's going forward because there's no other decision that we can make. This is like a given. If we don't do it, the city's going to do whatever it is that they want to do. So,
anyway.
Yeah, so that's where we are with this. But again, we need to understand that we have to, as a community board, represent the community. We have to do it better than we have been doing it in the past because we don't get any community benefits out of most of what has happened here.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Hi, Carolyn.
I thought the vote of the committee was 5-1-2.
Yes, I said that.
Is that what we're voting? Yes, you did, but I want to know what are we voting on because I noticed 9-0-0.
That was the
let
executive committee.
Let me bring a little clarity. So the motion that we're voting on tonight is the committee's recommendation, being the Parks and Recreation Committee, not the executive committee.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's correct. And part of why we're doing this is I wanted to get the support or feedback of the entire community board for this particular issue, because it is something that has been on the table for a while and many people have had an opportunity to give their comments, and I didn't want to lose that this evening. So I asked that it come before the general body.
I was just giving the history. the complete.
Any other
history.
questions on the motion? Any further discussion? Mr. Lastawecki?
We have no choice to vote the way the committee proposed it, and I'll stick with that. But I wanted to underline very much, for all the years that we have been discussing this area, the way John Dew presented it, at least, it has always been a park. The term was always used as a park. Now, when we were at this last meeting and the letter presented for the city law department didn't say it cannot be, it just said it should not be, because it isn't under the jurisdiction of the park. When we were talking a little further, Belinda Cape, which represented the sponsors of the park, or whoever EDC that's there, or what Brooklyn, whatever that organization is that has jurisdiction over the park, she walked away, and in that meeting herself, she said park. That it was before that, it was always a park, and the parking was taken away from the park. So even the parents of that park still use the word park. It's just a travesty that we cannot use the word park. I don't see anybody that ever has a lot or priority on the word park. I mean, you got to go to Washington to get an approval or a patent on the word park, and I don't think it has ever been done. So,
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none.
Maisha.
Oh, hi, Maisha. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So I just want to, again, this has been going on for years. I want to either remind folks or some of our new members that don't understand the history, the abolitionist history that was alive and well in that area, the fight to preserve and landmark 227 Abolitionist Place, that specific building, Mama Joy Chattel's home, and also that entire block is called Abolitionist Place. And so I don't understand how this park turned into just Abolitionist Place. It just makes no sense if the entire block is called Abolitionist Place. So that's one. The second thing I wanted to bring up was, again, it was suggested that it should, the park part should be removed, but it wasn't mandated. And so given the history of the EDC, I wonder if some folks' suspicion of them changing that just to, in the future, possibly develop. I wonder if that's even, I consider that could be a possibility. And I don't know if it can be added as a friendly amendment, or we have to go with what the committee already put in place. But it is really troubling to me that it's, again, just going to be called Abolitionist Place when the entire block is called Abolitionist Place. And could we at least, if no one wants to use park, call it Abolitionist Place Square or Abolitionist Square? So I'm not sure if we can add that as a friendly amendment. And I'm sorry for that, but maybe Mr. Singletary, you can give me some feedback on that.
The first thing, don't apologize, nothing to be sorry for. Remind me again, Mr. Harrison made the motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Morales, which would you prefer? Abolitionist Square or Abolitionist? What is your amendment?
I would prefer Abolitionist Place Park. I would prefer park instead of square.
So let's back up. Let me back up for a second. Park is off the table. That's not an option. And there have been grounds that were submitted to the committee that legally support why that can't be there, as I understand it. So let's take that off the table, unfortunately. So the compromise by the committee was to go with place. If you have another recommendation for replacing place, not using park, we're all ears.
Okay, so then the recommendation would be square. Adding the square to Abolitionist Square.
Mr. Harrison, do you accept that amendment?
Mr. Chair, if I understand what Ms. Morales is saying, she would prefer to be called Abolitionist Place Square?
No, just Abolitionist Square.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Singletary.
Yes,
the committee actually toiled over this it's sort of unfair that the committee toiled over this and took all of that into consideration and made a recommendation. The committee's recommendation should be considered first and then voted down, and then you can consider something else. But the committee's already made a recommendation. It's not fair to supersede the committee's recommendation.
Listen, I don't disagree. I'm just trying to work in the parameters of what was whereby we vote based on Robert's rules. So let me defer to Mr. Parliamentarian, Mr. Quinn. What are my parameters here?
The motion was made. If the mover accepts the amendment, then that's what we vote on. If the mover doesn't want to accept the amendment, then we could vote it down and have a new recommendation.
And if I understand correctly, Mr. Harrison accepted the recommendation from Ms. Morales. So
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
So we're now, that becomes the committee's recommendation. If the board accepts it, we're done. If it wants to go back to what the committee did, then we have to vote it down and have a new vote.
Thank you. All in favor of the modification to the motion? Raise your hand, say something. All in favor?
Aye.
John Dew's not in favor.
I didn't get to that yet. Hold on, John. Work with me. Hold on.
I'm in favor.
Oh, wait. Lenny, are you taking a vote on the final recommendation? So this is a vote on square.
That's
as
correct.
opposed to place.
That's correct.
Because you sort of phrased it as whether whether it was to accept the amendment. So the movers accepted the amendment. So this is a vote basically on square.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. To accept
Okay.
the modification and the recommendation. Yes.
Do it again.
Could I
Okay.
say something?
Hold on, Barbara. Give me 1 second. Just work with me 1 second. I want to do this in an orderly fashion. So, what I'm trying to get forth is to initiate an approval on the motion from the committee that has been recommended from Ms. Morales within a friendly amendment accepted by Mr. Harrison to replace the naming of the location from Abolitionist Place to Abolitionist Square. Are we all on the same page? Did I say that correctly? Okay.
You are correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Barbara Zalagreen.
Thank you. As the one who suggested Abolitionist Place, I would be fine calling this Abolitionist Place Square, but I do not care for Abolitionist Square.
Okay, thank you. Let's do this a different way because I want to be able to capture this. This is getting a little confusing. So I know we generally reserve roll calls for land use items, but I want to capture this because this is a little sensitive. This is going on a long time, and we are going to make a decision tonight. So in that context, Jessica, are you prepared to do a roll call vote for this?
I am. I'm ready right now.
The floor is yours.
All right, Ms. Ali, how do you vote? And this is again on the name Abolitionist Square.
You're on mute, Hajra.
No.
Okay, Mr. Andrews.
Yes.
1 second. I just lost access to edit this document. Taya, does that sound correct? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Augustus, how do you vote?
No.
Victor, I'm sorry, did you say yes or no? I was locked at that time.
No.
No, Victor.
I don't think you called Victor yet.
Victor voted yes.
Yes. That's what I thought. Okay. Ms. Blount.
Yes.
Ms. Karstarfin.
No.
Ms. Chang.
Abstain.
Okay. Ms. Cumberbatch.
I'm abstaining.
Mr. Dew.
Process, no.
Okay. Ms. Einhorn.
Abstain.
Ms. Feibush.
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira.
No.
Mr. Flanoy.
I also vote no.
Ms. Gallo.
No.
Ms. Gilman.
Abstain.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Howell.
No.
Ms. Hubbard Coming Unweary,
Yes.
Ms. Janner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lastawecki,
Yes.
Mr. Luckett,
Abstain.
Ms. McKnight,
No.
Ms. Medley,
No.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Ms. Morales,
Yes.
Ms. Masso,
Abstain.
Ms. Policia,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Abstain.
Ms. Quint,
No.
Mr. Quint,
Yes.
Ms. Rezzi, Sabrina. Okay, we'll come back to her. Mr. Scala,
No.
Mr. Brandon Smith,
Yes.
Dwight Smith,
No.
Ms. Thompson Manning,
No.
Ms. Thurston, yes. Ms. Yearwood Young,
Yes.
Ms. Ayler Gringer,
No.
Mr. Singletary.
No.
Okay. It is 16 yeses to 16 nos to 7 abstentions.
So
Failed.
let's see if Sabrina's off mute yet. Is Sabrina back?
Doesn't matter.
I want to thank you, Sydney. I want to include in the vote. Did she have a chance to vote? So is she back? Okay, fine.
Ms. Rezzi, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to check to see if she was back. That's fine.
Ms. Rezzi, can you
I
unmute?
apologize.
She may not be there. It's fine. I just wanted to check to see if she was there. It's no problem. So it doesn't pass, right?
Correct.
On the
Chairman, I
table,
make a
committee's
motion?
recommendation, Mr. Flanoy, can I get a second? Mr.
Well, second.
Augustus,
What's his motion?
What's the
the
motion?
committee's
Motion to
recommendation.
accept
The
yeah.
committee's recommendation.
I'll second.
I already got the second. I got the second
Sorry.
by Mr. Augustus. The motion was made by Mr. Flanoy. Jessica, you ready?
In 1 second, I am. Mr. Augustus. Okay.
Jessica, what are we actually voting? Could you
The
just
committee's recommendation to call it Abolitionist Place.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Ali, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Augustus,
Yes.
Ms. Blount,
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen,
Yes.
Ms. Chang,
Yes.
Ms. Cumberbatch,
Yes.
Mr. Dew.
Yes, with park in parentheses.
Okay, Ms. Einhorn,
Yes.
Ms. Feibush,
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira,
Yes.
Mr. Flanoy,
Yes.
Ms. Gallo,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard Coming and Weary,
Yes.
Ms. Janner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Lastawecki,
Support of the Parks Committee, I vote yes with parentheses park.
Mr. Luckett. This is an Excel sheet, everyone. Mr. Luckett, how do you vote, Oscar?
I vote yes.
Okay, Ms. McKnight,
Yes.
Ms. Medley,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Ms. Morales,
No.
Ms. Masso,
Yes.
Ms. Policia,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Quint,
Yes.
Mr. Quint,
Yes.
Ms. Rezzi,
Yes.
Mr. Scala,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon Smith,
Yes.
Dwight Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson Manning,
Yes.
Ms. Thurston, yes, Ms. Yearwood Young,
Yes.
Ms. Ayler Gringer,
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Singletary.
Yes.
All right, 39-1 with 7 absences. Passes.
Agenda item number 8, committees to report, economic development and employment.
Yes, hello. I am Bill Flanoy, the Chair of the Economic Development and Employment Committee. My co-chair is Ms. Denise Peterson. Okay, and we are the most proactive aggressive, changing committee.
All right, so you know
on
what? I'm sorry.
board.
Let me just interject for a second. I know it's late. It's 8:53. I recognize that some members may be home, others aren't. Let's keep focused. Let's stop the jokes. Let's move the committee along, please.
Not a problem, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just trying to recruit. Okay, we had at our meeting a presentation by Access VR, which is Adult Career and Continuing Education Services, Vocational Rehabilitation. This organization is astounding. I can go on for about an hour of all the services they can actually offer, but I'll just make a quick overview of what they're looking at. They have vocational rehabilitation services, adult education programs and policies, career training, high school equivalency programs. Basically, go to the website, okay? Check it out. They are extensive as far as the opportunities and training and just resources that they have available to individuals who are looking for this type of career and continuing education, okay? Here it is right here. Please check it out. It is phenomenal. I'm very impressed by it. In addition to that, the committee also looked at the FY23 Statement of District Needs and Budget Requests. What we did with that basically is we had a small working group that's been working over the summer to get together what we think the committee should move forward with, and then we'll present that in September so that it can then go in front of the executive committee and the full board. Okay, that's what we're looking to do with that. In addition to that, myself and my co-chair, we met with the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Okay, we had discussions about going forward with the resource and employment fair at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Currently right now, we're gonna be having talks with them throughout the summer. And also come September, we'll have a plan going forward. We're looking to do this resource fair in September, depending on COVID. Okay, and whether or not we can actually do face-to-face meetings, and I believe we will as of today because of what's happened. We're going to be, the discussion was basically, we're going to do the business outreach, and the Brooklyn Navy Yard is going to do the other part of the outreach, which is outreach to the different groups and individuals who might be interested in this fair. We will talk to the board office and discuss how we're going to do the outreach, and we'll take it from there. And that, Mr. Singletary, is a brief discussion of our committee meeting.
Thanks. Next committee to report, Health, Environment, and Social Services.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Brandon Smith. I'm the Chair of Health, Environment, and Social Services. We do not have a co-chair, but I'm supported by my wonderful secretary, Jessica Thurston, who is very helpful in that capacity. We had actually 2 meetings since the last meeting, but I'm going to make this very brief. I want to really thank Ms. Feibush and the Youth Education Cultural Affairs Committee for our joint meeting in late May. And I'm really pleased and happy with how the committee has come together to support the amazing project of bringing both education and possible treatment for childhood asthmas to our local public schools. We're participating with Dr. Reed Caldwell, who was our December speaker at our committee, and as well as a wonderful program that Ms. Feibush located called Open Airways through the American Lung Association. And amazingly, at this meeting, the District 13 and 15 superintendents agreed to participate and go forward with the initiatives that we had proposed, specifically for Mr. Caldwell to provide educational parent workshops and for the Open Airways program to have a place in the District 13 and 15 public schools. We were really thrilled with the enthusiasm. We're going to have a follow-up in the fall. I'll try not to steal all of Betty's thunder because I imagine that she's going to speak to it a little bit, and she really put a lot of work into it, and a lot of gratitude to her. But I also want to thank the committee a lot for their efforts. And this past 2 weeks ago, we had another great meeting. We were hoping to have a clean energy presentation, but that's been moved over to the fall, and hope everybody turns out once you get back in the summertime for our September focus on sustainability and our risk for power grid shutdowns and preparedness for superstorms, which we're going to be taking up at that time. As it turned out, we had to focus on liquor licenses at this meeting, and We had 6 liquor licenses, which we heard. We spent 4 hours reviewing these liquor licenses, and when we were done with them, we had a renewal where we had a member of the community expressing concern about. So it was definitely a sign that we are moving on from the pandemic, and that we had quite a number of different establishments and people expressing very logical, well-reasoned concerns. After hearing all of this, we made some adjustments to the hours on these applications. We did ultimately support each of the applications, and we'll be voting on this and discussing it in more detail at the executive committee meeting later this month. Thank you once again to the committee for a wonderful committee year, and I really looking forward to next year with this group.
Next committee to report is Transportation and Public Safety.
Good evening. I'm Sid Meyer. I'm the newly minted chair of the committee. At our last committee, we had a joint presentation from the Center for Court Innovation and for the Red Hook Community Justice Center. This is the special court in Red Hook, and it's also a special court that's a special diversionary program that takes place at the Supreme Criminal Court in downtown Brooklyn. And we extensively went over with them, what they're doing, what their innovative services are, their diversionary services, their support. They do a lot of supportive services for the people who come in who are either incarcerated or being released either under supervision or on their own recognizance. And that we were very interested in, and something we've been supportive of, and that we would like to see expanded. So to make this really short, that's all I'm going to talk about at the meeting. That we have a meeting tomorrow night, and one of the things on the agenda for tomorrow night is a group is going to present on advocating for improvements to the York Street F train station, which we've talked about extensively. Also reimagining public spaces, and also there's going to be a presentation by the Department of Transportation on the bike lane installation on Navy Street, Sand Street to Flushing Avenue, which is something that's been before the board before, and we've asked them to re-present. And I think it's going to be an interesting, exciting meeting. I do point out to the new members, I don't have a vice chair yet, and we're looking for a vice chair, and everyone's welcome to come to the Zoom meeting that will be tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item next on the agenda is the Youth Education and Culture Affairs Committee.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Betty Feibush. I'd like to introduce my co-chair, Dorothea Thompson-Manning. Are you there? Can you say hello?
Yes, hello, everyone.
Great. Okay, and as always, as the others, we're looking for new members, of course. And what's very special about our committee, I believe we're the only committee that has a youth member. So since we focus on issues of education and youth concerns, as well as, of course, cultural affairs, we're delighted we have Oscar Luckett as our youth member, and we're also looking for increased youth participation. So thank you, Brandon Smith, for an excellent summary of our joint meeting. I think what was great about the meeting of Hess and Yucca is that the superintendents of our districts were actually able to talk to the doctors and the open airways person. And it's very hard to, quote, get everyone on the same page or in the same room. So the fact that they could have an exchange and figure out next steps, and we're going to be following up with them. And it was a very exciting meeting. Thanks to both committees and the participants. That's really all I have to say about that. We'll be discussing in our June meeting about what items we want to bring forth for the district statement of needs, and certainly having a nursing presence in the school and having a robust asthma program will be important as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 9, city agencies and community partners. What I ask is the same as we did for the elected officials. If you are representing a community partner or you're representing a city agency and we've not called upon you, would you please provide your information in the chat? That way we are sure to have you, and then we'll go from there. So let me start with some of the usual suspects, and let me start with the Brooklyn Library. So I would ask the library system to introduce yourselves and kick us off.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair Singletary, and thank you, Community Board too. My name is Kat Savage, and I'm here with the Brooklyn Public Library with my colleagues Bailey Vidovich and Tracy Mentrone. Rachel Tiemann of the Brooklyn Heights Library couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to pass along her information as well as the information I want to share with you for the Adam Street Library. For the Brooklyn Heights Library, this Friday night, they are having a virtual movies program on Zoom in honor of Juneteenth, where the movie will be The Color Purple. I'll pop all of these event links in the chat as well shortly. The Adult Book Club at Brooklyn Heights continues virtually, and they're next reading How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. I am halfway through this, and it's such a great book, by the way. That will be meeting on July 14th, but of course you can borrow the book and read along for that meeting. And although the Center for Brooklyn History remains closed to the public at this time, aside from the Brooklyn Heights Library providing lobby service for circulating library materials, the Center for Brooklyn History will debut the outdoor exhibit Brooklyn Resists on June 19th. I've seen a preview of this. It's amazing. It's going to be a beautiful outdoor art exhibit on the windows and wrought iron gate of the building at 128 Pierpont. And it celebrates Brooklyn's long history of social activism and Black protest. So that's Brooklyn Heights. I will move quickly to Adam Street Library in the Dumbo, Vinegar Hill, and Farragut areas. I'm super excited that we're having a series of summer reading programs in partnership with the Dumbo Improvement District in the Dumbo Archway every Thursday at 5 p.m. These are family events. Tomorrow there's a dance program, and there's a long range of events that will continue every Thursday in the summer, and I'm going to put a PDF with all of the events shortly. We're also continuing our in-person story times in Brooklyn Bridge Park every other Wednesday. The next one will be the 30th. These are great events for young children. It's so great to be back in person. And I also want to mention we're collaborating with a nonprofit that's in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, who we discussed quite a lot this evening, of course. We're doing a paper making workshop with Dudonay, and there's 2 dates. You can actually pick up materials, take them home, and then participate in the program via Zoom. So as you can see, there's a blend of in-person events and virtual events as we transition. And now I'm going to toss it over to, I believe, Tracy.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Clinton Hill will be celebrating Juneteenth early tomorrow with an outdoor concert from 4 to 5 with the local Brooklyn band Afraz. Grab and go kits will be available for kids while supplies last. The Friends of Clinton Hill are having their 3rd artisanal craft fair on Saturday, June 26th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. They have 15 different vendors. They're all Brooklyn residents. Some of them are first-time craft fair vendors, so there'll be a lot of unique items to buy. And starting on Monday, June 21st, BPL will be launching its Black Americans Library Card. You could swap out your Brooklyn Library card for free to get this really gorgeous new card. I'm going to be putting links in the chat so you'll see what they look like. Also this weekend, Brooklyn Public Library will be celebrating Juneteenth at the Macon branch and the Center for Brooklyn History. I'll put links in for their events. Other locations will be closed for Juneteenth, but there'll be a lot going on at Macon. They're having like a whole day of programs as well as the Center for Brooklyn History. And now I'm going to pass it over to Bailey from Walt Whitman.
Hi there. Okay, so Walt Whitman is now open for indoor desktop and browsing. Yay, finally. And we will be getting our new street barriers for outdoor seating around June 28th. So in a few weeks, we're going to have a brand new space outside where our extended Wi-Fi will reach. Walt Whitman is also a part of the emergency broadband effort to get internet to people who don't have it. So it will be working more with that. So you can send people if you need them, if they need internet access, we can help them sign up for that. It's a $50 monthly credit plus $100 towards the purchase of a device to access the internet. Also, we have Drag Queen Story Hour this Friday. It'll be their first in-person Drag Queen Story Hour at the library in a very long time. And that's this Friday at 11 a.m. So this coming Friday. Okay, I think that's all from us for now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, members from the library. We appreciate you sitting through this wonderful meeting and your always constant participation. I'm going to call next on Richard Day, Department of Sanitation.
Hi, thanks for having me. So hi, everyone. My name is Richard Day. I work on the curbside composting team at the Department of Sanitation, and I'm just here today to give you a little bit of an update on curbside composting. For those of you who don't know, this program allowed over 3.5 million New Yorkers to recycle their food scraps and yard waste and turn them into compost and clean energy using the brown bins that we provided to residents. This program also extended to private homes, apartment buildings, nonprofits, agencies, and institutions. As I'm sure you all know, the program was actually suspended last year. I'm here with some good news. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be back in this fall. It'll be coming back this fall. But we're doing things a little bit differently this time around. So we're going to need every person who wants to participate to actually sign up through our website in order to get service. So the form to sign up is going to go live in August. So it's about a month and a half away. But if you go there now to nyc.gov/curbside composting, you can fill out something to notify you essentially when the form does go live. So as I said, collection is going to start officially in October. And it'll expand as the number of signups expand. So, yep, that's about all. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at rday@dsny.nyc.gov or check out nyc.gov/curbside composting. Thanks for your time and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Next, I'm going to call on the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and I'll ask if there are multiple representatives from the Navy Yard, if you can consolidate it into one presentation, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. They entrusted just me with it tonight, so I'm here with you. Quick thank yous. I know we're running late. I just wanted to thank you on the special district application, Carol Ann and district staff, Land Use Chair Gordon and his vice chairs and members of the Land Use Committee, Chair Singletary, and all the members of the board who had kind comments tonight, and also at the Land Use Committee. We feel the same way about you, the good neighbors, the good partners. We look forward to working with you going forward. Okay, I'll be very brief because I know everyone wants to get to their DVR for the mayoral debate. I'm dropping.
You unmute, Ethan.
That's brief.
Sorry, I went back on you. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sure. I just dropped a link in the chat. I'll talk fast, and if you don't get anything, it's all there in that link on our programs and tours page. Oscar, cover your ears. This is 21 plus. Taste of the Yard episode 2 came out. The pairings of the yard businesses for food and drink. Episode 1 was Kings County Distillery and Jalapa Jar, and episode 2 now features Winston Chu of Bonbite Catering, making his Macanese fried chicken, and Annie Basson of Annie's Ginger Elixir creates a cocktail called the Frederico and Ginger. So you can check that out. That's virtual. Coming back to things that are part virtual, part in person. Tomorrow and Friday, we're having dance performances at Building 77, which is just behind me in my screen. Tomorrow is the rehearsal. It starts at 12 o'clock. And Friday is the full performance. And that starts at 6:45, really 7 o'clock. I'm going to drop a code in the chat, and you can use that code for free tickets. We're offering free tickets for that. The 15th floor is a space in Building 77 we haven't rented yet, and what we do is try to activate those spaces for the community. So come on out, watch some dance, get some great views of the waterfront and the skyline. And again, those tickets are free, and you can also attend if you click on the original link and go to the Eventbrite pages. You can also sign up and watch that virtually. And then I just wanted to mention on Saturday, June 26th, now we're coming back into full programming, which is great. And we're looking forward to continuing that through the summer. On Saturday, June 26th is Summer Essentials Community Day. Just in time for summer break, it's the perfect opportunity to set up children for summer success. So several of the yards, businesses, and community partners will be at Building 77 in the forecourt, giving away free items for every family that wants to come by. Brooklyn Book Bodega will be giving out books for pre-K to 12th grade. Little Essentials will have diapers and baby wipes. Your Destiny Treasure Chest will be upcycling gently used formal and casual clothes for kids up to age 13. Wegmans will be there with some healthy snacks, and Turnstile Tour will be offering yard inspector tours for families. So hopefully you can join us for that. So that's all June. And then just to mention, since I won't see you July and August, Yard Beats and Eats every Thursday in July and August, 5 to 8 p.m. We have free music at Building 77. Come on down, listen to some music, get something to eat. There'll be pop-up shops from some of our tenants. And that's about it. Stay with us. Check out our website and stay with us on social through the summer. We'll have a lot more programming, and you can always reach out to me if you have any questions about upcoming events.
Sorry about the background noise. That was security trying to kick me out. Next, I have Kathy Litwin from the Courtsmith bid. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, hi. Heidi's taken over instead of me.
Hi, this is Heidi Koenig, and Kathy and I are both on the Courtsmith Street bid formation effort. And thank you so much for making time for us on your very busy agenda this evening. We've asked to be on your agenda because we would like to request a letter of support from the community board. We are needing to ask for this letter of support with consideration as soon as possible, with my understanding is prior to your September meeting.
Heidi, can I be politely rude? I need to interrupt you. This form isn't the appropriate place for you to make that request because it's just really to get information. Can I advise you to follow up with our board office, and we'll take your request and address it so that you can get the support that you need. We can evaluate the support that you need.
Could you just tell me who that person is that I would follow up with?
So you can send an email to, I'll get this email just for you real quick. So the email address you can use is BK.
V like Victor K.
B is in Brooklyn, K is in knowledge. So BK, the abbreviation for Brooklyn.
Yep.
02 at CB for community board, right? .NYC for New York City. .gov for government.
Mr. Singletary, the committee has been in touch with the office. They are requesting special permission to request a letter of support over the summer because they need it before the committees meet again in September.
I get it. So we'll handle that at the exec committee. We won't handle it now.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
So we're going to handle it through the email. Is that right?
Well, what I want to do is have you begin the process with the email, the office, and make sure that it gets on the agenda for the appropriate committee, and we'll try to evaluate and accommodate your request.
Okay.
So without knowing the request, I'm not committing. What I am committing is that we will have it before the right committee and review it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, great. Next on my list, I have trying to think any other community partners and agencies. I don't see. Oh, so I don't see any other community partners or agencies.
Red Cross
listed. Okay, I'm only going by what my colleagues gave me. So Red Cross, come on up.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Morrow, and I'm the Greater New York Red Cross Community Relations Ambassador for Community Board 2. I'm sorry my camera's not working, so we're going to have to deal with what we got. At this moment around the country, the Red Cross is helping in 58 disaster relief operations. The Rockton, Illinois chemical fire is still raging fumes of toxic burnoff. The US West and Southwest are critical fire areas on elevated fire watch. As all of us know, California is in a serious drought. In the last 7 days, the Greater New York Red Cross has provided emergency assistance here to 112 adults, 40 children, and assisted in 44 local disasters. The Red Cross is the world's largest humanitarian network with over 16 million volunteers. Our website, redcross.org, through our free virtual training courses, can help you better protect your family and community. We'll be there all summer long, so please check out our website. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Chairperson, and for giving me the opportunity to speak to you this year. The Red Cross and I want to wish you and your communities a safe and healthy summer season. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate the kind words. So I don't see any other agencies or community partners. I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is other board business. I see you, Betty Fibers.
Hi. Hi, my turn now? Thank you so much. I'll be brief. I'm a member of the Brooklyn Solid Waste Advisory Board. It's known as SWAB. Mr. Day spoke from Sanitation about the reintroduction of curbside composting and the brown bins. We are an advocacy group, and not only do we want to let everybody know that you have to opt in, but if you're in an apartment building that doesn't really want to opt in, or the management or the super isn't that excited about it, we urge you to contact DSNY, or you can contact the SWAB, because they will work with buildings to find suitable places for the bins. And they will, if they find a lot of residents who are interested, and the buildings won't sign up, they're going to work out a food scrap drop-off in the area, so that people who are in the designated areas can have their food scraps collected and made into compost. And this will not be as robust a program as the one that we had previously, just because people have had a brown bin. Even if they start to use it now, Sanitation isn't going to collect it, the contents of it, unless the people sign up. So there will be more on this to come. Thank you.
Next item 2 is a community forum. I'd like to call Pastor Zach. I would just remind everyone, you have in an open community forum, we try to adhere to a 2-minute time limit, and so tonight we will do so.
Yeah,
Pastor Zach.
gratefully you all stayed through this marathon meeting, and I'm grateful for all of you. So I'll be brief. Just a couple things related to the work with Trellis. One, we're unveiling the next round of our Community Heroes project in both Fort Greene Park and Commodore Barry Park on July 7th. So I just encourage you to watch for that, as there'll be some community events where you'll get to meet some of the heroes, the photographers, and the youth storytellers that have been part of this project. Some 50-odd people that have helped celebrate these 12 individuals that we're going to honor through the project. That again will be unveiled on July 7th. You can find information on our website for details. Secondly, related, we're trying to coordinate efforts with our food distribution that happens in Fort Greene. So if you know a group, particularly serving public housing residents with food distribution, we're trying to organize and convene some meetings so we can work better together. The Myrtle Avenue Bid, as well as a couple of other organizations, mutual aid groups. They're trying to organize how to work better together. So if you know someone working in food distribution, particularly serving our nitro development residents and neighbors, the information in my email is right there. And then just to let you know about our community outreach program that continues at Recovery House of Worship. Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we provide a community breakfast from 9 to 10:30. People are welcome back into the space for a hot breakfast. And also knowing that we provide social service support Monday, Tuesday, and Friday in our space where people can sign up for the federal cell phone program, be provided with simple tax returns. We replace IDs, get people signed up for SNAP benefits through volunteers that come into our space that support that. And then specifically Tuesdays, we have a community shower program that supports our houseless individuals specifically, as a truck that provides hot showers shows up outside of our space on Tuesdays between 9 and noon. We also provide free haircuts, very simple shape-ups, takeoffs, haircuts, largely for men. We're working on getting support for women's haircuts also. But if you want more information about any of that, it's also available on our website. To find out more information, you can support the work by providing clothing that we also distribute to those things, toiletry kits, and all the things that we do to support our individuals who show up in our space. So just wanted to let everyone know about that. That continues through the summer. It's an ongoing project that we continue to do to support our houseless folks and those in transitional facilities and assisted living. Again, my contact information is in the chat.
Thank you, Pastor Zach. You can't say it enough, all the wonderful work you do for the community and for all of the members of the community. So thank you. Rolf Black.
Hi, thanks for everybody for sticking around for this epic meeting here. I want to remind people that back in March, a group of girls were very proud, worked really hard to make a presentation to CB2. It was beautiful, it was moving. And at that point, Community Board 2 committed to discussing their Sisters in Freedom proposal. And we were supposed to do that coming up, and that promise was broken. This was not put on the agenda, and it's a real profound disappointment to tell a group of girls that something they worked on so hard and that they were promised to be able to present is not being presented. This is a proposal that has been for the community board since at least, I have been bringing it up repeatedly since September 2019. And it seems to be the reason that this is not going to be discussed is because there's going to be a groundbreaking on the proposal by the EDC. I want to remind people that every single elected official, Eric Adams, Councilmember Levin, Jabari Brisport, Joanne Simon, every single one of them have supported the Sisters in Freedom proposal. I think it deserves a fair discussion before breaking ground on the proposal that has not been really fairly discussed, and a proposal that would put dog pee, the dog run right now would go over the tunnels that could have worked, underground railroad tunnels, possible underground railroad tunnels that used to be at 223 and 225 Duffield. And as we celebrate Juneteenth, I really implore you to give some better consideration to this. I really think that this is a fantastic proposal. I think the EDC is failing to live up to its promises in many, many ways. And I just implore you to support this project that has broad support, including from families of suffragists who support this project. And it has not been.
Well, you've got 30 seconds.
You know where to reach me. I just wish CB2 would respond better to our concerns and our emails and our calls. I'm here. You all know how to reach me. Please, please, please support this plan before the EDC does an abomination to the history of downtown Brooklyn. We have a fantastic proposal. I think it deserves
Thank you all.
a fair chance. Thank you.
So I just want to bring some clarity to a point you made. I recall, and others correct me if I'm incorrect, that after the presentation by the wonderful students, you were then directed and given the opportunity to present to the Youth Education and Culture Affairs Committee, and I thought it was the Parks Committee as well. So I'm not sure if I understand, if my memory is correct, the reference to promises being broken. Well, can you hear
sorry, I'm typing in here. We were supposed to come before the Parks Committee before summer. And the Parks Committee agenda, I know you've got a lot to discuss. There's actually not that much on that agenda coming up. There is room to discuss it on the 21st.
All right, so I tell you what, let's take this offline. We'll revisit, and we'll guide you how to get the how to resolve, the concerns you have. But let me just caution in advance and ask for your help. If we, and I'm sure we can come to some solution to resolve your concerns, but let me ask in advance.
I would love to come to a solution. I really do.
I'm sure we can. So that's the least of my concerns. What I'm asking in advance is when we finally work on a solution, because I know we can, let's limit the number of participants. I want to caution you in advance, not that you may have this plan, but I want to make sure we don't. I'm not looking for 30 speakers all under the age of 10 or anyone who's under 4 feet. I just need to make sure we manage that, set some boundaries, but the office will give you a call tomorrow. We'll work this out. We'll find a solution.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Now, so that's the list that I've concluded for open speakers under the community forum.
Excuse me, Mr. Oh.
Am I missing anyone?
Yes.
Yes, Miss Carter has her hand raised.
Hi, Ms. Carter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I had my hand raised. Listen, my name is Tarana Carter, and I'm the daughter of the legendary Mr. Ed Carter. I was actually raised on this board. Like, my dad sat on this board for 32 years, right? And founder of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, a whole host of things he did. Well, as I was sitting here listening to this, I beg to differ because the developer of 130 Felix Street reached out to the community. And I was impressed with him because when he came out and spoke to a lot of us and asked us what was needed in the community, that to me was like a foot soldier. I have seen many developers come up in this neighborhood. I was a baby sitting on this board, right? And I have never seen a developer like him come and ask us what our needs were. He did come, got our concerns, and had us express to him what was needed. I have never seen that happen. And from me seeing that, when I sat here, I only sat here to see how it was voted on. When I see it was voted down, I was disappointed because he promised affordable housing. It wasn't like what we see with Big Apple or Red Apple, where they have the whole block and they develop all these affordable housing and there's only 10 people in the development. This guy came, sat with the community, talked to us and asked us what was our needs. We said affordable housing. We said we have young ladies that got excellent careers and jobs and they can't get in. He promised us that the process for the application would be looked over, not like any other application that was done when that we was told we would get these apartments. And when they did the application, we always asked out. He promised us like about the schools, there would be a diversity of our kids being in that school. And we looked forward to that. So when it got voted down just now, I was very disappointed because this was a developer that did come into the neighborhood. See, like, I also was sitting here thinking like maybe the community board needs to have field trips where they come into the community and spread and see the needs of the community. Because
you have 1 minute.
My dad was in the community. He sat here on Fleet Place and Myrtle Avenue and asked the community what you guys need. Some days you guys need to come up from behind that desk, come out to the community and ask us what we need, what are our concerns, so you guys could get clear pictures instead of voting on things or voting things down that we might really need. My 1 minute is just to say, maybe you guys need to take a field trip into the community and ask, would Felix Street be a great to you guys, to the community? You know, ask some of the topics that you guys voting on.
30 seconds.
For us. You know what I'm saying? Is it what you need? But I'm disappointed that 130 Felix Street was voted down because he came into the community and talked to us at the center and let us all know, promised us affordable housing. Now it's voted down. I just wanted to express my disappointment. I give the board back to the chair.
So let me say thank you for sitting through the meeting and being able to express your comments. Your father's legendary. He's a stalwart, and you know many of us have had the experience to listen to him be an advocate, and you are following in great footsteps. So thank you for that. Any other community forum?
Mr. Singletary?
Yes, John.
Just one real quick issue. The motion that was made by the Parks Department that was uprooted with a second recommendation, that was not a friendly amendment. And I would only ask that the parliamentarian come back next next meeting and explain to us how that process worked, because the amendment that was proposed totally uprooted the committee's work. And that did not seem correct. It seemed as though the committee's work should have gotten primary consideration. It doesn't seem fair that somebody who did not participate in the meeting could then come and uproot the entire committee decision and get precedent on the vote. So I just want, and that was not a friendly amendment. So I'm just asking that the parliamentarian qualify what is a friendly amendment going forward, so we don't waste that amount of time again.
Any other community forum?
Chair Singletary, I'm sorry if I missed it, but did we vote to give executive committee power to act on the behalf of the board over the summer?
Yes.
I'm
It
so
was
sorry.
before you joined, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Hearing no other community forum, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. But wait, before you respond, let me just do this. I want to thank every single member that's still under the sound of my voice, but every community board member for all the work that you do, all through the pandemic, up until this very point. So I want to say thank you. Number two, I want to say thank you for supporting me and allowing me to represent you as the chair. And then more importantly, I want to thank all of us for being respectful, right? It's okay to disagree. It's okay not to have the same perspective, but we've always been respectful. And that's all I ask as a minimum that we do, and we continue to do so. Sometimes the agenda gets long. I have to be the bad guy in some cases to move us along, but it's not meant with any malice, but it is meant to move the meeting along, and that I will not apologize for. Thank you all. Enjoy the summer. New board members, welcome to Community Board 2. Doesn't get any better than this. Thank you so much. Have a great summer. Those of us on the exec committee, I'll see you soon. Have a good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.